to another edition of Friedman Adventures. As always, it's great to be with you all. I'll remind you all, please to subscribe while you're here right now. We've got all kinds of free gifts for our subscribers that we give out every week. Also, hit that little bell and we'll notify you when new content is available. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If freshwater is your thing, Bass Bros, my kids are over there, same thing. You can find them on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We have got such a great show for you because so many of you have asked for Mike Reed. So many of you loved Eddie Leland's previous appearances here. Mike, I got to tell you, you may not know this, but you're a very popular guy. So many people want to hear from you. It's great to see you, my friend.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
How you been?
Slowing down.
Oh, you're getting old like me, right?
Yeah.
It happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
At least you're not as slow as this guy, Eddie Leland. Eddie, good to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Phil.
Eddie, we see you all the time. I mean, you and I do a lot of fishing together, so, it's just great to see you. Mike, we are going to go back and talk about fishing in the old days.
Yeah.
And I thought we'd just start by asking you, where did you start in this business? How did you start? Look, I mean, when you think about it, and I'm not putting you in the late 1800s. Don't let me say that. But that's when sport fishing started. The birthplace is over there at Catalina Island, Dr. Charles Holder. And so a few decades after that, you're in this kind of new thing. Where did you start? What boat?
Oh, which boat?
Were you a kid? Did you pinhead?
Well, it could have been, yeah. I started that, and it was on the Spitfire. Not the current Spitfire,
right?
But the old Spitfire.
Yes.
Hornet, the Islander, the Hurricane, and those boats out of Pier Point, but then also out of Pacific Landing.
Okay. Was Eddie McEwen over there in those days?
Yeah, Eddie McEwen was there. He ran the Fisherman. And then all of a sudden he got a wild hair and he decided to buy this old Navy PT boat.
Yeah.
And that was a Pacific Queen. But
Absolutely.
when it came over here, it was just a junker. And he cut it down he cut about a foot, maybe a foot and a half down from the top deck down, and then built a new deck. And then rearranged it, made what it is today, basically. And he started fishing with it in the 60s.
Yeah, that boat's been around a while.
63, I think he started with it. And if I remember correctly. And that's when black sea bass were legal.
Right.
And I fished out of that landing and out of Pier Point when I was a kid.
The original Pier Point.
Yeah, the original Pier Point, the one where right now there's a fire station there. And
yeah.
All that longshore stuff.
Yeah, yeah. What was fishing like in those days?
Good, really good. I mean, the average day, everybody always caught barracuda, and albacore was local.
Was it?
Oh yeah.
Like how local? Like a 3/4 day?
Mile and a half off of Point Furman.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
You could go out there and drag some jigs and get a hookup on albacore?
Oh yeah.
How did it feel special in those days? Looking back, obviously.
Well, yeah, but I was more interested in the other fish.
Why?
Well, because everybody got in my face when we were fishing those albacore. When I was younger, I wasn't quite into it yet.
Yeah.
But then after a while, I got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you could go literally a mile off Furman and catch freaking albacore.
And I remember one day they started running half-day trips, or they call them sundowner trips out of Pacific Landing. And they ran from Pacific Landing to the west end of Catalina to fish albacore. And we did that one time with 60 people.
Oh my God.
And the average weight was about maybe 15 pounds. 15-pound albacore, 15 to 25 maybe was the big one.
Yeah.
And we'd go out there and we'd fish for a little while and then turn around and come back. We'd get back about midnight.
Oh my God, that is such an amazing thing, huh? And barracuda, how big? I hear stories, is this true or not?
Yeah.
17, 18 pound barracuda?
I had some Shinley things that I should have brought.
Yeah, he had trophies of the old days when
14 pound, 7-ounce barracuda.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They'd have like a weekly little thing where they'd send you a little trophy or a placard.
I had a bunch of those.
Yeah.
From when I was.
How
a kid.
common was that grade of fish? Was it?
Every day.
Geez.
Even buddies of mine that fish commercial, they'd get those big fish on their jig boats. You know, fishing plastic jigs with a double hook on them. I forget what they call them.
Baldies.
Baldies, yeah.
And then the bone jig also
Yeah,
with
bone
a double
jig,
hook
yeah,
on it.
yeah.
That's funny. Each one of our brains kind of
Yeah.
synchronizing what we
Yeah,
remember.
synchronizing.
Because I remember as a kid, I had those baldies at Redondo. You know, I was selling them for like $2. Like I could go fishing on the half-day boat or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
Like, man, what did I do that for?
Yeah, then I got to the point, I did that too, and
Yeah.
I always fished from the pier, and when I was a kid, and then when the boat got in, I'd go make the bunks and clean them up and all that kind of stuff, and pretty soon I got to the point where they let me go fishing,
Yeah.
and then I won't go into the rest of it, fishing jackpots and the rest of that stuff.
Yeah.
You can,
Yeah.
because we all did that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, that gets you very popular with the crew, doesn't
Oh
it?
yeah,
Yeah. So Mike's talking about in the old days, you would be a deadhead, and part of your job was to win the jackpot for the crew, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff went on in the
Oh,
old
yeah.
days. Yeah, it was very common. I know in the Redondo special, same thing. And you know, you'd look up there. I remember even a kid, I'd look up there and go, "Oh boy, Dell's here. We got a good shot here, man." You know, you get a good stick on the boat, right?
Yeah.
And you know you got a good shot because
Yeah.
they do everything right.
yeah,
And that doesn't guarantee they're going to win it.
No.
but it puts them in the high percentage, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Eddie, you remember any giant barracuda like that? You ever seen anything like that?
One fish that really brought a memory back to me. I remember we used to have this couple who used to come out all the time, and one day we had these gunny sacks, you know, and we got this one barracuda, and I swear it was like, man, that fish is going to take up half that sack.
Looked like a wahoo.
I said, we got to weigh this thing, yeah. And you know, I knew what wahoo were in those days, but albacore seemed to be, barracuda are more cylinder shape, you know, where they're thick, really,
Yeah.
all the way through. It
Right.
doesn't really taper down much. And
Yeah.
that fish weighed 16 pounds. It was just.
Are you kidding me?
I actually had a meat scale that my father-in-law had from when he was working in the Army, and you could actually get an official weight on it. It was 16 pounds exactly.
Jeez, you guys remember those gar were so big that they'd bite your jigs off constantly?
yeah.
That happened all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You get 4 cranks and
Did you guys?
A lot of us use wire.
I was going to
in the
ask
old
you, wire
days, yeah.
your jigs?
Yeah.
And what we used a lot was feathers,
Yeah.
Right.
hex head feathers.
Yeah,
and
Calcutta.
and a Jap head,
Yeah.
and then we'd use them, and then we put shark skin on the outside,
Right.
and then that keep them from tearing the feathers off.
Yeah. Eating up
And,
the thread. The thread was wrapped. around.
Right. Right.
And you just got to the point, and then you fish a wire leader, you never got bit off.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about, Mike and Eddie? Like back in the day when you two guys were working together, you got 50 people on the boat. How many barracuda are you going to catch?
Oh, I could knock off 30 in a day.
So the boat would have.
You could.
The boat would have 500 fish.
Oh my
Very
God.
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd get off with 3-4 gunny sacks sometimes.
Jeez. And all iron fish or feather fish.
Iron or feather.
You never fish bait?
I never fished bait for barracuda.
Me either.
I did once in a while when they got touchy.
Yeah.
But you know,
Even
and
then.
but then I'd go to a wire leader, and use the monofilament, and then monofilament to wire leader. You had to use one of them little black
Rings.
O-ring,
Yeah.
and then tie it on that way.
They used to have something they called shorties. Do you ever remember that?
Yeah.
And it was a little
Yeah, I didn't
piece
like
wire
those.
later. Yeah.
you got
I know.
bit off on those a lot too.
Yeah.
With the wire he's fishing too, it's
Beecham's wire.
Yeah, Beecham's wire, and it's real thin.
Yeah.
And it's real strong, and you don't get kinks, and it doesn't get chewed. Those little shorties used to get chewed because it was like a plastic coating on them.
Yeah.
But that was the trick too, and then it was called pump bait. You know,
Yes.
the guy who could pump
A
and
bait
he
like
knew
that.
it. Yeah.
You had to whine and pump at the same time.
Yeah, and it was a rhythm. It was like
Yeah.
And some guys had it down. You had a parabolic rod, so when you got bit, it just absorbed it, and it would just hook them.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
Go into a little more detail on a pump bait. What is that?
basically, is you cast it out, and you want to create this. So you're lifting it up, down, lift it up, down. And a lot of times you'll get bit on the flutter down,
Yeah.
and you'll get bit on the way up. They think it's getting away, or they think it's dead. And some guys, like you said, you'd have that one hot stick. You go, and mine was Greg used to come out with his wife, and those guys could throw on 20 fish before anybody even knew what happened.
Really?
It was just
Same way with
incredible.
Stan.
Yeah,
Stan
Stanley.
Fox.
Yeah, guys just had the technique down, and you're just like, wow. And then you learn from them too. You know? And I'm sure that's how a lot of lures were designed and invented, and people thought about them in somebody's fish tank, watching it flutter. I'm sure that's how the flat fall got started. Everything that we ever think of.
You know, I noticed albacore fishing. You'd be soaking a bait for, it seemed like an hour, but 5 minutes, and then the minute you go, you start to wind, you bit. And that's so there's something about that, right?
Pump it on the way in. They think it's getting away. Yellowtail are notorious for that, though. If a yellowtail, I can remember days fishing, and Mike, it's got more yellowtail I can think of catching, but a guy told me, when I was working on the barge, if you pump that bait, man, or you wind it in real fast and cast it out there, like after the third or fourth time the fish sees that, he bites it, he eats it, and you're like, how did you do that? I go, we had so many trips. Or like you'll see another thing you also remember when we used to watch a fish boil, and Mike Reed knows how that fish boil. The yellowtail have a definite boil. When they come up, the water boils. It just rolls. Whereas a tuna, it's more of a hump kind of splash.
Yeah.
With a yellowtail, it's almost white water because of that fork coming out of there.
Oh, right.
And you'd know, like out of the corner of your eye, you'd be looking for a bait in the bait tank, and you fling that bait right in that boil, and you got bit instantly. Everybody's going, how did you do that? How do you know?
Paying attention, right?
Years and years. And like on the tank, Reed's like, Ed, every 7 seconds, left-hand corner or port corner.
You're talking about chumming.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of people have it in their head, Mike and Eddie, the more bait you throw, the better. You get these fish riled up. Is that true?
The days of Brelin are
You spread
over
them out. When you throw them big scoops of bait, all of a sudden you got bait all over the place.
Yeah.
If you got them at the point where they know that they're going to be there all the time, then pretty soon they sit going up and down like that. And then they come up and they grab a bait like that, and then they peel off, and another one comes up, and you'll grab the second one.
Mike, it almost sounds like you're training them.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That's exactly what it is.
Wow. And this is years of experience.
And all the skippers from us that told us about things, and we never really believed it. And then we saw it in action and go, man, how come we didn't figure this out before? But like he's saying, is you're thrown to a corner, the fish are following that current, they're coming rocking right up to you.
Yeah.
And then the trick is too, you got to keep that bait going because someone can come in front of you and pull that same thing and pull all your fish away from your boat.
Yeah.
And that happened many times.
So as an angler, if you're aware of what's going on, is that where you're casting? To where you're chumming that bait?
Yep. You're finding that corner that he's at, anywhere's within that side of the boat, whatever you do. And you can just cast a bait and then move on. You don't have to stand right there in that one spot. You cast your bait and then you let your line go.
God, that is amazing that you get this. You approach this scientifically almost. I mean, you must have been observing for all these years. How long have you been in this?
When I was a kid, I was watching.
Yeah.
And I who I learned a lot from was Donnie Ashley's dad, Whitey.
Yeah.
Okay, I learned a lot from him because I fished with him a lot when I was a kid.
Yes.
And
did you work for him?
No, I just fished jackpot for him.
Yeah.
But I got to the point where every time he'd tell me something, I'd always
file it away.
Yeah, and all that stuff mounted,
Yeah.
But we didn't have the equipment we have nowadays.
I know.
You had to take land bearings. You had to take time and distance measurements. You had to, even in the fog, you had to have a bow watch all the time.
Right.
But nowadays, you got a bow watch once in a while, but for the most part, your radar's home to you,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we were talking about our bearing books. You and I were talking about that. And
Yeah,
he brought up to me that he had lent his bearing
Is this
book to
your bearing
somebody.
book?
Yeah.
Or?
And then you just pick something off the beach, north, south, east, west, 2 different directions where you could triangulate.
Yeah.
And pull it in, and then
And the further away those two objects are, the better?
The better.
Is that right?
Yeah, and the quicker the bearing moves, that's the trick too.
Yeah.
Like say, if you have a slow-moving bearing, the distance isn't enough to where you can pinpoint something. But if you're
What you want is something that's far away with something that's close.
Yeah.
right,
And
but
then
you
that
always
really,
know it's
that-
going to be
that-
there too.
Yeah.
That really triangulates.
It's not going to leave. You
Yeah.
know, like a water tank, or you don't want to pick cranes or something.
Right, because they're
just
gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, damn.
But like I've seen a lot of my bearings disappear. Like the harbor's changed now.
Yeah.
You can't. They're not even there anymore.
Or they tear down the building.
Yeah, they tear down the building. But now with this GPS and all this stuff,
Yeah, it's easy. Just plug it in and drive there, right?
Yeah. You think you have a secret spot? You're nuts. You don't.
There's no secret spots anymore.
No.
It's just how you fish it is the difference.
Yeah.
Speaking of secret spots, did either one of you two guys ever discover a new spot? And then what was it like?
Them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought we discovered them, but somebody else had already known.
Oh, really?
We discovered stuff that people haven't been fishing.
Now?
Yes.
Oh, so you found some stuff?
Throughout all of our careers, we
Yeah.
found
So
spots.
without telling us where those spots are, because I want to go hit that with you.
Well, there's certain spots, yeah.
Well, tell me about one of those spots. What you caught? I'm guessing like rockfish spots or sandbag spots. Or?
One of the spots I particularly remember, I was on the GW, and the GW had a thing. Once you got past a 12-mile circle on your radar, it would go in two mile increments.
Yeah.
It would get out to a spot where you could elongate your 12th mile to your 14th, 15th mile, which the angle of the radar would make it work.
Yeah.
So one day I'm not paying attention to my radar, and I'm going to this one particular spot, Pasco, and I overshoot it, not paying attention because I get distracted, and this thing lines right up on the 12-mile thing, but it's elongated on my radar, so it's actually 14 miles.
Oh.
So I anchor on the, I drop in the spot, and it's straight, 4 or 5 pound rockfish, every species that we catch.
Are you kidding?
And quite a few
Grouper,
20 pound
reds,
groupers, reds,
lings.
Floridas. Not too many lings, but chilies, cows, and chilies like 3 pound chilies. And no one ever even heard of those. We heard of them, but consistently locally, you didn't catch those.
Right, exactly.
And I ended up getting 3 months off this spot.
God.
And we all shared our spots, and I shared mine the first day because I was so excited that I had found
Shared it with everybody or your little kind of code group?
Our group, yeah.
So Mike and you. And
and Bobby
Williams.
Bobby Williams.
Yeah.
But I do remember, I think we got an honest 3 months off that spot, and then a gill netter found it, and he ended it.
God.
But Mike has found so many spots that we...
You guys have spots named after you, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't last long.
Yeah.
So
everybody that fished since then has probably called it their own spot,
Yeah.
there's a story that's floating around sport fishing history, and I don't know about the truth of it or not, but about a canyon full of rockfish that breaks, and some crazy deckhand jumps in the water, and somebody else saves his life. What's that all about?
I'll start how it happened.
Okay. Yeah.
So what happened was we had, back in the day, you could use 10 hooks, and the current was ripping really hard. Going back behind the boat, probably a knot and a half, maybe 2 knots.
We were anchored on the GW. You forgot that part.
Yeah,
Okay.
I forgot we're anchored on the GW. And so I get the gannion unstuck from the bottom of the boat, and it floats away. So I grab
And it's loaded?
I'm grabbing it. Yeah.
Oh.
There's a 3 pound sinker on there, but there's 10 big fish on it.
So floating.
So I go to grab it with a net, and I barely catch it, and I lose the net. And I'm like, oh shoot, I got to get the net, and I got to get the gannion. And then Reed took over.
Okay. So he's going back there and he's swimming. He's got the canyon full of grouper and a cow or a couple other ones that I can't think
You
of.
jumped in the water?
Yeah, he jumped in the
Kicked
water
off
to
his
get
deck
him.
boots? And,
Yeah. And the current's going about 1.5 miles, and he's swimming about a half a mile.
Are you saying this is a bad idea, or go get that?
No,
We need
I'm
that.
on the anchor.
Oh.
I can't get the boat, crank the boat up and go get him.
It's not a good idea, but
we got-
Reed didn't tell me that.
Yeah, we got about 15 people on the boat, and I'm thinking, I got to think of something quick. And I see a rent rod, and it's strung up. So I go up and I get a life jacket, and I put the life jacket on this rod, and I throw the damn thing out there.
Oh my God.
He grabs a hold of it, and all this time it's going backwards. He's got the net and a canyon full of rock cod, and one hand to swim with.
Oh my
So
God.
he grabs that life jacket, and I pump him in.
Pump bait, right?
And I wind him in. I get him up, and he gets on the boat.
Did you call for a gaff?
We saved the canyon full of fish and the net. We saved everything.
Oh my God, Mike! What a story!
That was a story.
That's amazing.
And then the one last scene that happened at the end of that story. Remember, we saw that big old mako shark swimming around not long after that.
Yeah.
Oh no
at the same
way!
spot.
Oh my gosh!
He's in the water with a big mako.
They're not as bad as the great whites. They're a little more cautious than a great white.
Yeah, you don't think that one would have nibbled on him?
You never know. He likes to say I saved his life, but it wasn't that big a deal.
It was so ironic how we never thought just let this
little
stuff go.
stuff. We didn't think nothing.
Yeah,
Let
I mean,
this stuff go, swim in. We'll get it later.
Eddie, that's what I was going to ask
Yeah.
both you guys. Did you just jump in the water without
Yeah.
thinking?
Yeah, he did.
You're like, I got to get that.
He did.
net
He
in
did
that
manage
game.
to. He took his shorts off
Yeah.
and just went in his underwear.
But you think I could swim that current, but not with one arm.
Yeah,
And
right.
You don't realize how strong the current is until you're a part of it.
You know, that's
I really,
true.
That's when I really found out. That man, that current's ripping, man.
That's when people get lost at sea or whatever. And
Yeah.
you can figure out you get tired real fast. Right?
Yeah, that's why I would actually You know, if you're going on a skiff or something, any boat, man, get yourself a vest because you never know if you're going to slip over the side. How many times have we been out in the ocean and skip and you hit the rail and you're like, oh, remember your Eddie McEwen story when you were on bow watch?
Oh, that was
Tell him
Pete
that one.
Peters.
Oh, Pete Peters? Tell me that
Yeah,
story.
when I was on bow watch on a Fisherman 2 going up to what's that, Point Vicente.
Yeah. So
we were fishing Rocky Point, Barracuda.
you're standing on the bow in the fog. Is
In the
that
fog.
Why do we
Yeah.
have bow watches in those days?
Yeah.
We had no radars.
Right.
Yeah.
And
No
so
radar.
if you see, like, if you come up on a boat or something,
Right.
you're,
They
yay!
knew the course to go from there to there,
Yeah.
but they had to have a bow watch in case there was a light or something ahead.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there, and they had this chain across the cat head and the rails, and it went like this. It came in there, and I was sitting on that. I was standing up there watching. Finally, I decided, well, I'm going to sit on this chain. This is comfortable, more
Yeah.
comfortable. And I guess somewhere along the line, I might have nodded off.
Oh.
But all of a sudden, I hear this. All of a sudden, I feel this boom right in my butt, and I couldn't look. What's good? You're supposed to be awake on bow watch. And Pete comes up and kicks me right in the butt. I'm on that
A little subtle
Yeah,
reminder.
yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
So he read me what for, and I went through the whole thing on bow watch, and now I can't sleep on a boat.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, no.
From that point on.
Yeah, from that point on,
Yeah.
and I was just a kid then.
When Mike told me that story, I have the same
Experience.
experience. I can sleep on a boat, but if the engine takes
Yeah.
3 or 4 RPMs
out of
different,
pitch,
or
twin
if you
screws.
go up a swell, you're like, oh, what happened? Are we okay? Or you hear like something, you're constantly on edge.
That's got to come from your years of being on a boat, being
Yeah.
a captain, and being responsible for all
But that
these people,
story
right?
stuck in my head also, like how important it is when you're driving the boat or you're doing a job that you're traveling. Pay attention, stay awake.
Yeah.
If you can't stay awake, you have to tell somebody.
Yes.
So we don't have these tragedies.
Right.
Yeah, right.
that have happened
That's why they
over
come
and
up with
over.
those lights on boats that come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it flashes, and if you don't hit that button, then an alarm goes off, and
Right.
somebody knows you were asleep.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that
It's-
was the.
It's really important, and it's really easy to
Oh,
be
yeah.
tired on a boat because
Yes.
you're working your ass off 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been
Especially
on
on
the wheel.
overnight boats.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I've done turnarounds so many times, it's not even funny, but that's why I ended up running half day and 3/4 day boats, because well, not only that, I spent more time at home this way.
Yeah. Right.
That I didn't spend much time at home when I was originally started running boats. It was overnight boats.
Yes.
Charter boats.
Is it hard on your family life working on an overnight boat? No, it's good.
Nobody.
Yeah.
My dad drove a truck for Richfield for
Yeah.
33 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But on a 3/4 day boat, you get to go sleep in your bed, right?
Yeah,
As
go
they
home,
say.
yeah.
Yeah, you get to
go
go
home.
home.
Sometimes you're getting ready for inspections and things like that. Sometimes you work way into the night, but still, that's another thing,
Yeah.
You talk about the guy that came down and kicked you in the butt because you fell asleep up there in the bow watch. Some people nowadays would say, "Oh my God, that is really harsh," but you don't look at it that way, do you? You look
No,
at it as a
I
lesson.
deserved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You look at it as a lesson that
That's
taught
the
you
problem.
something.
Too many people are looking for excuses why things aren't happening, right? Just pay attention.
Yeah,
Be smart and don't do stupid stuff, and you'll be fine.
we haven't had that many tragedies, but recently with
Yeah.
the Conception,
Oh, yeah.
that dive boat that burned up,
Yeah.
and it sounds like that might have been a problem with the crew sleeping. I don't have all the details.
Well, yeah,
but-
that definitely. If there had been a deck watch, that would have never happened.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like
The
it.
deck watch was asleep.
Yeah.
Down below
Yeah.
with the passengers.
With the passengers.
So let me ask you
Absolute
this:
worst.
if you're the captain, let's just personalize this. You say, Eddie, I got to get some sleep. Okay, I'm going to sleep. You're on deck watch, and then Eddie goes to sleep. That's still on you, kind of, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're the guy, right?
Yeah.
Skipper's responsible for everything, but
Yeah.
if you have a crew member that you can't trust, he needs to be on a different boat, not your boat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So you need to
Because if
surround
Mike
yourself.
asked me to do something, there was no question that it was going to be done, and I would report to him as quickly as I could. That's a lot of things now. I don't think people take life seriously, especially on the ocean.
Yeah.
Because the ocean is the greatest thing in the world, but man, she can nail you anytime
It's
she wants.
unforgiving.
Freaking dangerous.
She
right?
doesn't care. No, not at all.
And you mentioned fog already. That's super dangerous.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Fog, weather, wind, and just being unprepared, right? And not paying attention.
You got to be able to prepare for whatever comes up when it comes up.
Yeah.
There was another story that's floating around the annals of sport fishing history about a guy, I think, that fell overboard. You're always jumping in the water. What's with you?
I'll tell
what
you.
happened there?
I'll tell you this story, and then I'll let Mike finish it. But we saw a boat waving his arms. You know, we're coming into the harbor, and we were like on our way back from the tie-ups or whatever.
Was this like a private family?
It was a private boat with maybe 3 or 4 people on the boat.
Yeah.
One big giant dude up in the bow, you know, messing around. So we pull up to him. Hey, can you give me a tow? Yeah. We hook up our anchor rope, tie him all up and everything. And Mike's kind of looking at me. He's like, man, you better keep your eye on this guy, you know, because he's up in the bow, you know. It's like, dude, tie down the boat, leave it alone, get back, you know. Well, he didn't get back there. And that's in the old days when I used to wear hip boots, you know. And
those big...
Yeah, big old boots. Well, this guy actually worked for Red's Bait and Tackle.
Oh, I knew
and that was
place.
in Redondo.
Yeah.
And he never told us who he was or anything, but he falls over the side, you know, and, hey, Mike, he fell down.
You telling Mike?
Yeah, I'm telling Mike. So Mike comes down, and I come, you know, I'm on the deck, and I'm slowly pulling off one deck boot.
So you pulled your...
I'm pulling off my deck boot because I know I'm going to have to go swimming. But I'm not sure because he goes down once, and we're like, oh, jeez, no.
Please stay up.
Please stay up. I don't want to get wet again. You know, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I get my second boot off, and then what happened, Mike?
I don't remember.
You said,
Tell us, Eddie.
You said, Ed, you gonna go get him? And I went and got him, and I swam out there.
Yeah.
I pulled him in, and sure as heck, you know, back then I only weighed like $150, $160. You know, I was a small dude, not anymore. But I'm pulling this guy in, you know, and it's a typical thing, you know. He's trying to drown me.
Yeah.
And I could kind of hear
Mike. He's trying to pull you under.
He's pulling me under, trying to get up. And stuff. This guy's close to 300 pounds.
Oh God!
And you know, Reed's just like, Ed, just keep swimming, man. Pull him back, and I finally get him to the guardrail, and he's pushing my head under, and I'm starting to see stars and stuff.
Oh my God!
All of a sudden, I feel the weight kind of come up off of me. You know, Reed's got him by the shoulder, whatever it is, and on the GW, you could just like hunk him onto that rail, and he could put his knees on the guardrail. You know. Then all of a sudden, he was up and in.
Yeah.
Jeez, well, you must have been pretty damn strong, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Right?
But Reed the Dad, I always challenge his strength, you know. I go, hey, Mike, I'll bet you can't pull me from the lower deck up to the top deck where you're standing right now.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, oh, my gosh, Mike. Wow. You know, and we never doubted his. And, you know, there was one more time when I saw Mike's pure strength.
Yeah.
We were at berth 55. And John Dipley was sitting down on one of the bar stools.
John Dipley, an old friend of mine, crazy guy.
I always used to play this game, chicken. You know, where you grab the guy's hands and you bend him backwards.
Dipley was stronger than I.
He had extra strong lungs, and I think Mike and Dipley went to a stalemate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
and then
awesome.
we had to say no more of that. Don't be doing that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because we
That's
got too old for
awesome.
that stuff.
He was a killer boy.
Yeah, he was a strong dude.
What kind of fisherman was he?
He's up in Bend, Oregon now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he passed away.
Oh, did he?
Yes, that's what I understand. Yeah, John was a character. Do you have any good Dipley stories? What did you think about him as a fisherman? As a pure fisherman?
Boy,
Instantly goes
he's
into
a bigger con artist than a fisherman.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, I think he went through a couple of boats.
Yeah, he did.
And he got them when they weren't looking.
So, what do you mean?
He got a new boat out of it.
Huh?
He didn't like the boat he was on, so it went down, and he got a new one. I think that happened with a couple of boats.
Was that just because they sang, or are you suggesting something else?
We're not too sure about that one.
Yeah.
Who knows, right?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but was he a good fisherman?
Yeah, he was a pretty good fisherman.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He was just he was crazy.
Yeah.
I tell you, man.
Yeah, it was a Dipley's way.
Yeah, he was the one hand pull the squid scoop pack full of and put it in a bait tank.
Yeah,
You know.
stronger than hell, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was fat.
He was stronger than me, actually.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you work with him or fish with him or what?
I fished with him a lot.
Yeah. How any captain or a mentor or anybody come to mind that helped you become the captain you were, or you, Eddie? I know.
Well,
Mike
like I
did.
said, Whitey
Yeah.
and Ed McEwen.
Yeah. You know what? Eddie and I were really close. He was a good guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He really was. He was.
What did he teach you? What did you learn from Eddie? Did you learn work ethic or?
Yeah, more or less a work ethic. He taught me how to be a little more responsible. And
you mean in your youth?
yeah,
right.
yeah. When I was younger, when I first started running boats.
Yeah.
because he owned the landing at the time,
Yes.
and he had guys running the boat for him too.
Yeah.
Pat Jackson was running the Pacific Queen for him,
Yes.
and I was running the Fisherman too, and then I think Bob Ezel was working for me the first year I ran the Fisherman too.
Yeah.
And now he was running the Western Pride out of Davies Locker for a long time. And I don't know what he's doing now.
He moved on.
He moved on?
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, we both moved on, I guess.
Yeah.
The last time I ran a boat was in 2015.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
Huh?
Do you miss it?
Do I remember it?
No, miss
you
it.
Miss it.
Not
You-
running boats now? You miss it?
Well, yeah, I sit back and I every once in a while I'll have a dream about it, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I don't, because I know I couldn't do what's required of me.
Yeah. Right.
And then that's when I started having a lot of stuff go wrong with me too.
Yeah.
And I went on a vacation, and I don't want to get
He's
into
had
that.
some exciting
I've had some pretty
moments.
bad stuff.
You mean
yeah.
physical stuff? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He's a cat with 9 lives, probably.
Yeah.
Like
15.
what? Do you mind telling us?
I'm on 7 or 8 now, and I don't want to take any chances.
Do you want to tell us about one of those things?
No,
Okay.
it's
How
all
old are you now, Mike? Do you mind me asking?
81.
Okay, you look great, man. You're in good shape.
Yeah,
I remember one time. You'll never remember. Maybe you will. I was on the Enterprise. Some guy got a hook through his hand, and I looked at it. And I was pretty young back then, and I looked at it and I go, "Oh my God, frickin'! Let's get the paramedics out here." And he was freaking out. And you came down, and you looked at the guy and you go, "Hey, just take it easy, okay? Calm down." The guy goes, "Oh," he was freaking out. Mike,
you remember that? Huh?
you freaking cut the barb off, shoved that hook through with no pain to the guy was flabbergasted. He couldn't, he's looking at his hand like, how did you do? And I was looking at it like, this guy's a freaking magician. That was amazing.
No, what you do is you shove it through, then you cut the barb off.
Okay.
And now there's so many other different ways of doing it. You can pull it back through the same way with a string and all that stuff. But my way seemed to always be the fastest and the quickest.
It was unbelievable.
And get it over with.
Yeah, unbelievable. How about sand bass fishing back in the day? Man, nowadays we don't catch much barracuda around here anymore. I'm talking about
bass, really.
Or sand bass. So, people might like to hear about how good it really was.
Yeah, the one day I remember in particular when I was first starting to work with Mike, I had fished Redondo, we had days where we'd get 200 or 300, and it was weird though. It was
Go up north there to like El Segundo.
Well, we caught them at Redondo, but we caught them also the salt mines just right off of PV, just outside the deeper water, in 150, 140, 160, 90 feet, they'd come schooling through. But when I came to Seal Beach, it was like, oh my gosh, what is this place?
Really?
So one day in particular, we're on
What year are we talking about?
I think it had to be around 79 or 70, somewhere in there, 79, 78. And I'm working with Mike, and it was like cool because I was a captain, but I was doing the barge. We were doing whatever we could to help Seal Beach bloom, And I'd have one day decking with Mike, and I'm on the boat, and I just happened to buy like 500 of these scampi lure type lures, mojos we call them.
Oh yeah,
Butch
Chapman made them.
Yeah,
What did they call them?
Mojos.
No, I'm talking about the ones that guy made. The ones that had the stuff out the back.
Oh, the breakwater specials?
No.
Or after that?
No, but before that. After the breakwater special.
Yeah.
And this guy got it, and he always came out on a boat.
It was like a skirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a hoochie kind of.
Yeah, and then you had these little lead sinkers that had a hook on them already.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And you put that on there, and they ate that like crazy.
No bait on it?
No.
Yeah, just Phil. Wow. And the guy was doing it to make money? He was selling them?
Yeah, he was selling them to us, and we'd sell them on the boat.
Oh, crappie John.
Yeah.
Huh?
Crappie jig.
Yeah, crappie John.
There you go.
That was after, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Crappie John, I haven't heard that
Yeah.
name
those
for a
were-
million
So we
years.
can roll Crappie John in there too, but he
Yeah.
was a great guy. But we're fishing these sand bass, and I've got 70 people on. Mike has 70 people on the boat. The GW had 68 spots, but we had made 2 bow spots up there.
Yeah.
We're like, my God.
Was it just
you were
wall-to-wall
working for me that
people?
day?
Yeah.
Where we went half an hour from the pier, not even that.
Yes.
Yeah.
20 minutes out by the outside rig. just a little bit beyond it, and we got in a stop. I saw a color spot
Of sand bass?
A meatball of sand bass.
A meatball.
I don't even know how big it was. It was
And we
bigger
put
than
the
GA.
anchor down there, and we stayed there. I think we were done with 700 sand bass for 70 people in a little over an hour.
Oh my
And
God.
you know what 700 means, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And-
1700, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we cleaned fish for 3 hours after that.
Yeah, that was your big
But
concern.
there was a lot of people that got off the boat without having them cleaned.
Yeah.
But man, it was balls to the wall.
Oh my
Clean.
God.
Yeah.
Color spot of sand bass.
Yeah.
And I remember with those mojos where you would just let it down. That was the mojo was a hot ticket after scampi because it was soft.
Yeah.
And then when you went to that crappie John jig, that was a whole nother level.
Really?
You caught everything on the crappie
Yeah.
John jig.
Yeah.
And that thing went to a level like you'd have your bait in the water maybe 10 feet where you could see it, and there'd be 3 or 4 sand bass coming up and eating.
Jeez.
I mean, if you had to measure, don't even think about keeping it. You know, it was probably a good 2.5, 3, 4 pound average
Are
Yeah.
you
of
kidding?
700 bass. Yeah, because they were throwing back. But don't measure it, dude. Just throw it back.
Yeah.
And if you have to
You'll
measure
get
a sand
another one.
bass, he's going to be short. You know,
Right.
that was our theory in those days. Because it seemed like we never caught short sand bass in those days.
No.
You know, you catch short calicos, but sand bass were always legal. And if you look just legal, throw them back.
Yeah. Get another one, right?
Yeah.
Because 70 people, I gotta guess that they're not all hot sticks. That there's some
No,
people on there
no.
that don't know what the hell they're doing, and yet they're catching,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But then
And
when
now you got to fish spots to get the sand bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were spoiled. You'd find the best meter mark to stop on, and then.
So you're just out in the middle of nowhere looking
yeah.
around, and
Yeah.
you see a color spot or a meter.
But they were
mark?
in between spots a lot of
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
In between zones. Like the junction was in between the Horseshoe and Clinton Flats.
Right.
So there was something down there we probably didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Then later on, as we had to fish more precise spots, we would find those little hard bottoms and little rocks in between there.
And how big were some of the? Look at this guy. Do you know this guy?
Oh, yeah.
Mike. Tom Durr.
Hey, Tom, what's up?
Damn.
Damn. Yeah, I getting old too.
Yeah, we had to bring him in on a wheelchair, didn't we? Yeah, we're going. You're screwing our podcast up.
Nice legs,
Hey.
Tom.
Hey, good seeing you.
You like his legs? Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody says the same thing. Look at that. Oh my God. You should be shooting video of that. fella. If you want to go on a diet, you watch that a few times, it'll kill your appetite. Let me tell you. All right, so Tom Durr was showing his legs off to us here a second ago. What were like the big sand bass like? How like when we're talking about, do you see 10-pounders?
Well, yeah. But I think I had a gal that caught one on my boat. It was on the Enterprise. It was 11 and a quarter.
He's loud enough.
Oh my
Huh?
God.
Get a little closer.
Oh, it was 11 and a quarter.
Yes.
Really?
And my biggest sand bass, check this out. I was on the Enterprise one time. I'm fishing LCI. I caught a bass. I had it on my scale again. It was 10 pounds, 6 ounces.
Jeez.
And there was a scoop. There's a scoop of chovies in the bait tank on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
And when you'd pull it, it would just hang in there. That son of a gun ate it. He got up over 11 pounds.
Oh no! You threw him in there, and
Yeah, I
he
threw
was
him in
eating
there
everything?
because when I wanted to take him back to the bait receiver and let him go,
Yeah.
But the son of a gun ate so many anchovies that he couldn't float anymore from all their bladders floating,
Really?
and he died. I had to let him go. We had to eat him, and he was almost 12 pounds.
Oh my God!
But we have seen several bass over 10, several.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of them weighed 11 pounds or 12 pounds, but we did see several at 10.
Yeah.
And I can remember countless days where we get 4 or 5 pounders.
God.
Just full rack.
Yeah, I remember taking like a little jig like that deception jig up there,
Yeah.
just a little chrome jig. When these guys were real young, going on a twilight trip, same thing. You see a color spot, guy dropped the anchor, you can just drop a jig down and bounce it up.
Yeah.
And, you get bit. It was just incredible in those days, right?
Yeah, fun time.
You didn't even have to mess around with bait or anything else, did you?
That reminds me of another story. Remember, Mike, the first day we fished the Gambler with live squid?
Oh.
Oh gosh, it was so funny though. You're fishing a spot. They had fished a million times. You don't catch anything. One day we got somebody gave us 4 or 5 scoops of squid. And we were just knocking the heck out of 5 and 6 pound calicos. We're catching 16, 18 pound sheephead.
Oh my God!
We're catching
Oh, yeah.
5 pound whitefish on the Gambler.
Jeez.
We're catching 4 pound salmon groupers. It was like, what
So-
the heck happened to this thing?
Before you go any further, how far is the Gambler from
The
St.
Gambler is
Peter
like
Light?
exactly, no, it's more
3
close.
miles?
It's right next to Long Beach.
Yeah.
The East End Federal there.
Yeah.
It's only a mile and a half, right?
Jeez.
If that. Because we had our radar bearings, you know, we didn't have GPSs. I mean, you had to get right on that outside Rock Island, and you'd get right just inside of a mile and a quarter.
Yeah, and then have the breakwater
And all of a sudden
so far from that inside rig.
Yep. Yeah, and then we used land bearings where you lined up the water tank on the edge of the water, the spa building, you know, no, the swimming pool building.
Yeah.
And then the Veterans Administration building. Yeah, we use those all the time.
Giant sheep's head, huh? Those big goats.
You know, everybody says that the biggest sheephead they ever saw was 25 and 30. You know, they never, 18, 19.
Yeah.
We saw many fish over 25, and it's we knew what they weighed because we weighed them. You know, and we never thought anything of it. You know?
Wow.
No one would just turn them in for. But that live squid, man, just remember the 150. We never fished a 150 with live squid before. You're catching 8 and 10 pound whitefish on there.
And reds.
And reds.
Really?
But I remember you'd always get 3 or 4 of those giant sheepheads, you know.
Yeah.
And the big whitefish, you know.
That's why they call it the candy bait, I guess, huh?
And there were fish with jig masters and all kinds of funky stuff.
Did you guys go and purposely try to make squid on a regular basis?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you prioritize that?
Even though we weren't like the overnight guys.
Yeah.
Right.
They get it all the time.
Yeah.
They'd set up and make a tank of squid and have enough left over for 3 or 4 days.
Right.
And we had our connections where we could hook up with some of those guys and get some.
Pass you some.
Yeah, they'd pass us some, and then we'd make it in the nighttime and the daytime.
Yeah.
All different.
Did you ever go to Catalina? Like get off your run and run over there? And
But that was no sleep again for us.
I know, that kills you, doesn't it?
But you could make enough where you could freeze a bunch and then, because pretty much you're going to get squid. It's going to only last you 3 or 4 days.
Right.
It's done.
Right.
Yeah.
And
How about
the local squid here was fun too.
Yeah.
Many times when we're working together, I'd look at, hey, Mike, oh, right there. And, you know, that meant that there's a meatball
Fireball.
of squid up there, you know. And then we had a special brailer made by that one guy, and Mike would just come up there, then he'd take it out of gear, and the boat would just slide on there and just scoop it up there.
Oh, wow.
And then every
Daylight
once in a while,
squid, right?
Yeah. And then every once in a while on the GW, you know, that boat was so low to the water that it never splashed. And when the engine was, you know, not spinning the wheel, it was super quiet, and it would just roll up there. It would get on the guardrail, and you just scoop the heck out of it. You get 4 or 5 scoops out of this thing.
Oh, God.
And he's talking about lifting that brailer, you know, with one hand. That some of those things, it'd take 2 of us doing our best.
Yeah.
And most of the time, we would just leave it in the water and use
dip
the
out of
brailer. Dip out of it.
Load and scoop.
Did getting squid change your game plan at times? In other words, we got squid now. We can
Tell
go
about
catch yellows.
Peterson's Pinnacle.
Oh yeah.
Our spot 310 feet. How do I know that? I see it right on the meter on my meter flashing with the paper. We had the copper and paper in the days. And you pull up to the spot, and then it would start black smoking, and that meant you were right on the rock.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And it was a hard spot to get on because there was always something that was right next to it.
Yeah.
But when you're on it, it was straight 4 or 5 pound groupers.
Oh, my God.
And then you
And reds too.
And occasional lings.
Yeah.
And when you're doing this for a living, I mean, you're thinking to yourself also, man, we're going to make some money on the board, cleaning fish. And
everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. They're going home with great fish.
And they're going to tell their friends, and they're going to come back. I was running that GW 3/4 day rock cod, and one year I ran till the middle of July fishing rock cod.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With full
and 35, 40 people a day.
And was there barracuda and sand bass
There was
available?
barracuda and sand bass, and finally I had to quit fishing the rock cod because they were getting a bigger demand for that.
Yeah.
And I could have got out with 70 instead of 35 or 40.
Yeah. Amazing. And did you ever turn that? I'm sure. Did you turn that squid into local yellows and sea bass? I'm sure you had.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about a good sea bass bite maybe you had on.
We didn't really have that many good sea bass bites.
Because in those that's when it was kind of depleted, right? Yeah.
But most of our good yellowtail bites was on the mackerel.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
But we had great days on the squid, but nothing like like the bass was your mainstay. For some reason, I don't remember the yellowtail really biting the squid that much, or we didn't get it like.
Yeah,
in that time of year.
We didn't get it that much, so we didn't know. But we'd go out and catch. We'd fish Spanish mackerel all night.
Oh,
we're Spanish
you guys
and greenbacks, just so we could have fish the mackerel in the tank the next day for the yellowtail.
Yeah,
and we were running half day and 3/4 day.
Oh. Yeah, we'd have 40, 50 fish days. You know, I remember many times. You know, like that's like one story I was fishing with Sean Morgan, my deckhand in those days.
I just talked to him yesterday.
Yeah,
he's in Stapa right now.
We're fishing yellowtail right on the west end of of the Horseshoe, and that's when Tom Durr had his little boat too, you know. And I had just called him, and hey, there's a marlin over here, you know. He's in the landing here, or ports of call. And
who? Tom?
Tom. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he brings out his boat, and the son of a bitch hooks that marlin and hooks it and lets it go. But my passenger guy, that guy just caught the marlin you said you saw. Yeah, I told you there was a marlin there. But this one yellowtail bite, Sean and I were on the boat, and that's when we used to kind of compete. You know, we helped everybody fish, but we'd catch a few fish because we'd give them to the passengers and everything was fine. But one day, me and Morgan both got stuck on like 14 yellowtail or whatever it was, you know. And all our bait was gone. We had nothing left on the boat. But there was one sardine that was all crinkled up like that on the side of the rail, you know. And out of the side of my eye, I see this yellowtail boil like that, you know. And I pin that sucker on there. You ain't going to get bit on that.
Who said that, Morgan?
Morgan, yeah.
Yeah.
I throw it out there, and, you know, from listening to Mike and what you saw in the old days, if you make that bait move or it's going to get away, they're going to bite it. And that fish was like in a perfect banana shape, like that. And I twirl it, and it goes spin, and the yellowtail eats it right there. And I'm winding right side of the boat because he couldn't even fight or nothing. You know? I said, come on, Sean, gaff it. Here we go. We got it.
Oh,
and that was one of our primary days where we really slayed the yellowtail.
Yeah.
And then that whole year, that was El Nino year, we get anywhere from 5 to 50 yellowtail every single trip.
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
every day.
Mike, 50 years you've been doing this. Did you, like, way back, did we have an probably you didn't know was an El Nino, but
he knew.
Were you catching Dorado close by or yellowfin tuna?
They didn't call it El Nino then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
called
right.
something else.
I can remember, before the rigs were out there, you
Yeah.
know, the oil rigs.
Yeah.
And fishing out of Pacific, I can remember fishing out there and catching bluefin on the anchor
Yeah.
in 240 feet of water, which is the depth around Southeast Bank.
Yeah.
And them fish would come up out of that deep water, and there'd be 6, 7 boats anchored out there, and everybody was catching bluefin,
Jeez.
and they were 30 to 47 pounds.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
decent
my
fish.
God.
They're
Yeah.
fun. And then what kind of reels were you catching them on?
Pin 500s.
Yeah. That's if you're rich.
Yeah.
The poor guys had the 27s, the 26s, and the 25s.
Yeah.
With what pound test line?
Well, some of them use 40-pound Dacron, and some of with mono attached to it, and some of them use straight mono. But it was kind of bulky and hard to handle.
Yeah.
Well, up in the bay, we always fish light line on
Yeah.
those bluefin. That
In
was a
Redondo,
pain.
we were fishing with 12 pound.
Oh yeah.
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 And the number 8,
6, 8
number
hooks.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
I fished up there on with Whitey a couple times.
Yeah. My
and,
days with
and then
Roy
I
Peters.
fished up there running the boat myself.
Yeah.
What kind of numbers were you getting on those bluefin in those days?
Oh, not very much.
Yeah?
Yeah.
20, 30 fish?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Mostly 8 and 10s.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
Redondo Canyon, man, that
Yeah.
place really kicked out some big. I was on, well, shit.
Yeah, that was
Schilling.
the trip.
Oh,
Yeah. Now we go back to that story.
we got to go back to
We're
it. I
fishing
screwed
bluefin.
him.
Ed is like, I work 30 days in a row, and I'm exhausted. I can't take it anymore, you know. And I'm going, son of a bitch, I know those bluefins are going to pop one of these days, you know. Because what would happen is every time we catch the bluefin, the damn person would come in there and wrap them, and they'd get all squirrely and stuff, you know. Well,
How
for some-
old were you in those days?
I think I was 17.
Young, yeah, like me. Okay, so we're the same age, aren't we?
Yeah,
Okay, so
I'm a little bit older than you.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're fishing those bluefin, you know, and we had a great day. We got like 35, you know, and I can afford to take a day off, you know.
And so Schilling
Schilling-
comes after
Shilling
me.
calls him and says, hey, we need a deckhand. My deckhand's gone for the day, you know. And that was the best day they ever had.
A buck
in the history.
85. Something
Yeah.
like that, or I don't know. Do you
No, it was
remember?
117.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Yeah, and that was on the Mascot 4.
Yes.
Which is the USC boat now. The USC research boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what they call it.
Mike, we were frickin', well, you probably know.
Yellowfin.
Yeah.
No, that's the fish and game boat.
Oh.
This is the USC research boat.
That was at Topaz Rock Jetty.
Yeah.
You know, it was right there.
Yes.
I mean, we're freaking driving, and Schilling goes,
The story's
"Oh,
embedded
look
in
at
my
that
mind.
that big old breezer bluefin, man."
Well, Schilling, of course, he calls me the next day. Hey Ed, I got a good story for you. You know, we're cruising the beach, like you can see the freaking swimmers,
Yeah, totally.
and 3 breeze and schools come up at once, and they hand over the chain on the anchor, and by the time they get the boat stuck in the water, they're like 9 feet of water. He said you could literally see people kind of paddling around. So then they all took over. He said the fish just went into a solid foamer.
Oh, it was amazing.
Right.
And then, yeah, that was my
Then it
first.
stopped biting right that first.
Yeah.
You talking
How
about
do I
Joe
know?
Schilling? Didn't he have a boat called
Yeah, you know
Real
better than
Special
me.
or something like that?
No.
Pat Whitaker had a boat called the
No, I know that.
Yeah.
Shilling ran the Pursuit.
Yeah.
And the mascot
Pursuit,
for that's where he
the one.
came from. And then
I fished.
That's where I knew
commercial
him
with
from before whoever's running it now had.
he worked with Whitey. They fished cod.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah, I know.
That's when they told me about spacing your gans right.
Volcanic? Are you talking
No,
about?
No, outside.
way past
Sand Neck.
No, the other direction too, all the way west. Remember that great rock cod fishing way west?
Of Sand Neck.
No, past Santa Barbara. That other stuff.
Oh, that's Santa
Point
Cruz?
Conception. He fished Point Conception a lot with Shilling.
And they had those big catches of blackgill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the black gills, and then they did the black cod before
Yeah.
that, and the sables, and then
We got black cod here for a long time too.
Yeah, right.
But that story with Shilling, you guys got bit. I think you got like.
You know this better than I know.
Yeah, because he embedded in my mind. I'll never forget it. I never took another day off that whole year. But he's fishing, and he we're talking about chumming, right? And I think he had 70 or 80 fish, and it shut off.
Yeah.
And then the Redondo special was slam.
Yeah.
When Barney was on there.
Right.
And Noni, no, I think it might have been Glenn Mueller was on the boat.
Could have been, yeah.
But Noni,
Barney.
everybody was on the deck.
Noni the galley cut?
Noni the galley cut
Yeah.
was chumming.
Right.
So Shilling's like, guess what? Those fish don't belong to you no more. So they got their 25, 30 fish. Shilling just bows them. And then I think Bill Duck was throwing bait.
Yeah.
But it's just like Mike was saying, every 7 seconds, 1, 2 in the corner, 1, 2 in the corner,
Yes.
1, 2 in the corner.
Yes.
Those fish just went up to the other boat, and they never caught another fish.
Oh,
And then
my God, sucked them right off of those?
You guys topped it off with either 117 or 120.
I think that was the number.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
go spreading that bait out, and the fish go the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
All
throw-
over the
you
place,
can throw
chasing
too
the
much.
bait.
But that was the days, where we got 80 scoops of bait, and if the deckhand did not load that bait right, he got a chewing that you wouldn't believe.
Really?
I can remember I'd dump the scoop in there, flip it back up with no extras out of there, nothing but full, and then bring it out softly so you don't splash the other stuff.
Right.
And then you wait a few seconds, make sure there's no scales, make sure they're spinning in their circle, and then gently put in the next one.
Yeah, because guys like Shilling were pretty rough on you when you right?
And then when you grab the bait scoop, don't piss off the guy who's handing you the bait. Grab it gently. Don't grab it and flip it up and then bang somebody in the head.
Yeah.
And you're constantly telling the people, hey, please don't get behind me. But you got to be polite because they don't know what's going on.
Right.
They always want to pick up the
watch.
bait that's dead
Or
or
they want
watch.
to get a bait.
Yeah, it's like, please just keep this area clear.
Yeah.
And then finally, Mike said, let's just tie these things off and nobody comes in here.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
put
yeah.
chains up there and stopped all those shenanigans.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all the stuff that, like, nothing hurts more than getting a hit in the back of the side of the face with a bait scoop.
Oh, I know. And Joe Shilling was famous for that. I got nailed by him a few times.
And you notice it's got that distinct smell or feeling and smell. You can smell the net from the bait, and you can feel the wood, but it's encapsulated. There's wood with aluminum on the outside, and it would just ting, like a baseball bat ting.
Yeah, I mean, I cast a bait 2 times. Like, I'd wind my bait in and cast it. Boom, right over the head with Joe Shilling. We don't cast bait twice. Change your bait.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like you up in the bow watch in the fog, I never ever casted a bait twice again. You learn that way, right?
And there's a lot of people I learned from Shilling how to fly line anchovy and Mike. And then Pat Conklin was another guy. They just had the technique of how to throw the bait perfect and not hurt it. And just everything balanced out. It's such a technique to throw an anchovy.
Yeah.
Because you can cast anchovy, you can throw anything.
Yeah, and you know what? There's chovy moving into the Santa Monica Bay now. There's a little bit of that. So maybe people are going to have to do it. Yeah. I wonder if there's some albacore sniffing around here. I mean, those kind of cycles go together.
I heard some rumors about yellowfin being seen.
Yeah, who knows, man? Yeah, it's looking good. Is there a story with Mike that you want to tell? I know you wrote down some stories and some funny stuff. Anything else? Or you want me to move on?
One thing I want to do is just talk about Mike with his Ganyons.
Yeah. What about?
Shilling and
Mike's laughing already.
Yeah. Shilling and we fished commercial a little bit, and his theme was the distance between hook to hook, and Mike really kind of centered it down to the tibbet. The tibbet is the leader that's tied to your hook, to your ganyon.
Right.
Has to be a certain length.
Yes.
The distance between each hook has to be a certain length.
So they don't touch.
So they don't touch. And then using the right kind of hook, now we kind of tie some ganyons and stuff with these bucktails, and we turn them into.
We used to fish curvy hooks back in those days.
And it's just kind of changed to where I fish the curvy. I used to bend them, and now I found these mustad, or are they mustad? No, they're eagle claw. And what sets, when you're a kid, when you saw eagle claw hook, what do you think of?
Trout fishing or something.
Or yeah, but it's a hook that never lets go, right?
Yeah.
It's the talons of that eagle.
Oh, true.
And you're like, man, those got to be good hooks, and we still to this day use them now.
So you're sold on eagle claw, huh? You
Yes.
like those? Yeah.
And the thing about the circle hook is,
I hope you don't have more than 2 hooks on.
No,
there.
only 2.
Okay, very good.
But the trick about where you don't want them to touch, the true test is you pull this could maybe go a quarter inch taller.
Yeah.
And see how they're not going to touch, so that
Right.
other fish isn't going to interfere in there.
Yeah.
And then this hook, it's offset and circled where, remember I showed you, I can't unhook them, you need dikes and stuff. But it's all about when you get the angle, you can turn it, like Mike used to show me with the Kirby's, where you can turn it, where you can get the barb and you can just pull it out a certain way.
Yeah.
And you just have to know how to use them.
Yes.
And and the thing is, when your Ganyon's out there, they stay on there. You don't get picked. That's what I like about it.
Fluorocarbon important or not?
No.
No.
You don't have to set the hook.
Yeah.
That's nice. Right?
A lot of people, they get a bite like that, they go.
Yeah. The only thing I would ever do is, like, if there's a little swell, I might take a couple cranks.
Oh yeah, coming up.
Yeah.
Because they feed up.
Yeah.
You get that first bite, instead of setting the hook, you just wind a little bit.
Yeah.
And to keep up with the slack, because when they bite, they're going up with it.
Right. That's why they say they're climbing.
Right.
Yeah. Because
But that's the thing, you watch me when he's explained to it, he's all into it now. He's like,
Yeah.
it's like exactly like we just did it that day before,
Yeah.
And then Mike knows what this is. Why do we have this on here, Mike?
Oh, the swivel.
No, this.
Oh, breakaway.
Yeah.
It gets-
So if you get stuck on the bottom, you can sacrifice this.
Yeah. And you get your
You
game.
sacrifice your sinker.
Yeah. Because a lot of times you'll get a fish and it'll roll into something where it can't get loose.
Right.
And this will finally snap off. It's like lighter.
And we even fray them sometimes, especially if you're fishing a rock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fray it, the breakaway.
Yeah.
Because you can gladly sacrifice the sinker for a
Couple of big fish.
25-pound cow or a
And that's what
25-pound
happens.
lingcod.
That's what happens a lot of times where you catch that giant lingcod
And he gets in the rock.
you're done.
You're screwed if you don't
Yeah.
have the breakaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you recommend that nowadays? For sure, right?
This is all relevant, current.
Yeah.
And most people that go fishing don't have a good Ganyon.
Yeah.
And they wonder why they don't catch any fish.
They go up, they buy one at Big Five or
Whatever.
tackle store. They're already made up.
And they're no good.
Well, some of them are good, but not as good as ours.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like this, when it comes up, it's spinning around in a circle. It absorbs all that tangle. That'll spin around in a circle. It won't get stuck.
So, I mean, a guy that's watching right now, how does he find one of these? You're making these yourself.
Yeah,
right?
I can make some, but there are some tackle stores. You just go around there and look for the right kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You tell the tackle guy what you want.
Yeah.
Because usually the packaged ones, like you say, it's tied up by a bunch of people that don't really know what they're doing. They're just making a set pattern.
They're just making money.
Yeah.
Right. They're trying to,
And,
yeah.
and the trick is to use the lightest, heaviest line you can use.
Yeah.
Like these here are made with 80 pound and 50. Now, if I'm going to San Nicolas, I can get away with 100 pound.
Yeah.
And I can fish an 80 pound leader. You just all depend on what your fish are doing.
And so back in the day, you guys kind of turned this into a little business, didn't you, on the boats?
Mike had it down to a science.
Yeah, we had galley ganyons. And
Yeah.
Were you tying these up, Mike, or having
No,
somebody
my
do
kids
them?
did.
Your kids?
Yeah.
Put them to work, huh?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you
they tied the hooks, and the guy across the street, the kid across the street tied the ganyons, and I'd pay him so much money for tying them up.
and then
Take
you
them
sell them
down
on
the boat
board?
the next day, and then we rig them up and hang them up, and as quick as he could sell them, I'd hang up another one.
Wow. Was
Yeah.
that part of your side money kind of?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And
jeez.
I would have a connection for the tackle, so I would buy Mike 1,000 hooks, and then he would get them, and then it would it'd work out great,
Yeah.
And you could go through 1,000 hooks in a couple days.
Oh, yeah.
It was no big deal.
I wonder why some of the guys that run boats now don't do. I mean, some of the
It's just
local
a
guys.
lot of guys they get a little bit, where they don't think about all the details that really make a difference.
Right.
It's like you got to.
You're talking about in terms of catching fish and good business, right?
Yeah.
And someone having the right product, there's nothing worse than berating a guy because he doesn't have the right tackle, but then you have nothing to offer him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's
So this way, I say, well, look, why don't you take that ganyon off and try this one? And if you don't like it,
yeah.
you don't have to pay for it.
Did you do that?
Oh, I've done it a lot of times.
Wow.
I would just like, oh, Mike, you're killing me, man. We're giving away money here.
Yeah.
It's like,
Don't do that, Mike.
no, he's like, take it easy. We got this guy. And then his 4 hooks, we always use 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But the average guy with 22 inches apart, and he can only handle 4. So you could hold your rod up straight in the air.
And get the stringer on.
Get your stringer on.
Yeah.
And then we'd always help him.
Yeah.
Because we don't want you to break it off right away.
Right.
But the 4 hooks was the perfect.
Yeah. It worked really good.
Yeah.
Because,
Especially on GW.
yeah.
And as you got to the Enterprise and the bigger boats, you could go 6 hooks.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be much
But
trouble.
the average guy can't handle that, man.
Yeah.
He's at his limit right there. Like everything was just set right. You
Yeah.
know, everything was perfect. That line, the right kind of line. You know, use quality line. You know, well, it's only rock out. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. Everybody thinks things don't matter. You know, like they used to make fun of us for using these bucktails. You know, and it was like, God, that guy got another 25-pound ling. That guy got another giant group right behind. Maybe it does matter.
Then I had guys that tied the bucktails on for me too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, what a business. Huh?
Yeah, I think it was Stretch, and then before him it was another guy.
Butchko.
No, before Butchko even. The guy that had the tackle sore right there off of Edinger. Because he was a fisherman for stripers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Wish?
No, this is before those guys. That's when Mark Wish kind of got started way back then.
Yeah, right. So you guys were making money before you caught any fish.
Yes.
You're selling Ganyons, right?
If you have a lot of passengers on the boat, there's a lot of potential. You have to,
Hell yeah, man.
You know.
70 people?
Yeah.
Right? And you got to have the right Ganyon or you're not going to catch fish. Mike, how important, because you have a reputation from the people I talked to, when I observed you, you were very good with people. You knew their names. You remembered all about them. How important was that to having return business?
It was important, and because you say hi to them as they were coming down the ramp, or if they were coming on the boat, you say hi, and people always appreciate that when you remember who they are.
You remember their name.
Now I can look back at them, I say, "Who's that?"
I do the same thing.
But then another thing was the deckhands always helped out a lot.
Yeah.
They take up the jackpot, and when they took the jackpot, they wrote the names down.
Yeah.
And I'd always, if it's one thing led to another, I'd say, "Who's that?" And the deckhand would know almost every time who it was.
Yeah.
Because I came from Redondo, like a lot of times we'd take up jackpot, and I was always wanting that guy's name. So I just handed the board, hey, just give me your first name and your ticket number.
Yeah.
And if you want to put your last name, that's fine there too. Because that way I would call these guys up and say, hey, if you want to leave your number, we're going to go fish somewhere,
Oh, right.
And we'd go fishing with 8, 15, 20, 30 guys.
Yeah.
Me and Mike, we'd all go, hey, let's go on the freelance. We're going to charter and go to San Clemente Island.
And then so you bonded with
Yeah,
these
we
guys.
bonded with them. And then these guys would several of them did work at our houses and because they wanted to be there and we'd help them move, and Mike would drive these guys certain places and I was just like, man, it's just like
so they're not going fishing anywhere else because they're family. They're
but it's
friends.
okay. It's okay if they do.
Right.
Too. But that was their go-to. Like Reed would have 30 regulars every time, and
Jeez, Mike.
And we know most of the people on a certain day who's going to be there.
And I dread, when Mike take a day off and I had to run the boat. I'm like, where's Reed?
Why?
He's not here. Why? Just give me a chance. Let me try to catch a fish.
You mean every person that walked on?
Where's Reed? He took a day off. I'm going to work one day. Enjoy, you'll see. And it took a while. We got it down and stuff. And I call up Reed. Hey, Reed, what's up, radar bearing for this? Oh, yeah, okay, we got it. Did you get him? Yeah, we slayed him, man. It was great.
That's funny. Mike, how much money did you make running a boat when you first started? As a captain, what did they pay you?
I remember about $25 a day.
Yeah, geez, huh? Oh, my God. Yeah. And so you had to make side money, right? Yeah. You had a family in those days or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was all, Tom Durr tells me all the time, we didn't make anything in terms of our pay. We had to hustle and make side money. Yeah. And so that's where this whole thing came from. Customer service is important. Selling a Ganyon or something like that's important. All the different ways you can do it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I got my upbringing on the barge, where we'd have raffles on the barge.
Yeah, I mean, talk about being ahead of the game. Talk about some of the ways you made money on the barge as a business guy.
When I was working on the barge, before I got
what barge?
I was on the Barge California, the Sea Coaster, and I never worked on the Sacramento. But I remember working on the barge one day, and I'm thinking to myself, man, we got like 100 people out here, and I got a tackle store that's sponsoring me. I had like a $10,000 limit to where I could buy stuff for this tackle store.
Really? How old were you?
I was like 15. And he says, yeah, you could spend 10 grand, but man, you better not, you better pay me back and stuff, And that's when all the big squids moved in.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the sablefish. And I'm going, man, we got 200 people right now. And, if we had a raffle, I could raffle off this fishing rod, And it was like, let's just try it. I had a rod, it was a jig master with a jig rod, and it was nice. It was better than what most people had. And we'd sell tickets for 50 cents a piece. I got a whole roll from the tackle store.
Yeah.
And it would just work out to where, hey, now we need to buy 4 or 5 more new ones,
God.
And it was it was just things on and on like that. And, you know, it was just, the potential was there and it didn't hurt anybody and it was all fine. And because you couldn't do a jackpot on the barges, you know, because it was too hard. Everybody was leaving all the time.
Yeah.
How about fish cleaning?
Fish cleaning, we had fish cleaning too. I remember one year on the barge, we got limits of black cod, sablefish for 3 months. The guys on the island boats, every single day.
I can remember that.
The guys on the island boats were going to kill us because we were making more money than they were.
Oh,
they just could not believe it.
Yeah.
And when I first started working there, this guy decided there would be a tip, you know, and I'm like, a tip?
You mean a tip to clean
your fish?
They
yes.
decide how much they're going to pay you?
Yeah. So
and you said, no, that's not going to happen.
After about 2 or 3 gunny sacks full of groupers and Johnny Bass
on the barge
for $1, I said, these days are over with. So I said, I documented that, okay, it's going to be 10 cents a fish.
Yeah.
And it went perfect. Everything was fine. And we had days, I remember I was working with Gordy King. And I'm the guy who would not quit, I would not stop cleaning fish. As soon as you got on the barge at 7. By 8 o'clock, there would be 40 people who had their limits.
Really? Jesus.
So I'd be filleting nonstop. I wouldn't even take a lunch. I would fillet fish from 8 o'clock till 4:30.
Until the last boat.
Till the last boat left
Voyager,
out.
right?
And Gordy would tell me, I'm done fish cleaning. You can do whatever you want from the 3 o'clock.
Did you make that money then? Or
No,
did you split it with
we had to cut them in.
Yeah.
But that was the thing was I can't clean your fish. It's going to be 20 cents now, and I'm sorry. I have to stop. But if you want me to clean your fish, it's going to be 20 cents a fish, and they just start handing you $5. Just clean them. Go. So it'd be a battle just to finish it. And I have nightmares, but it was just like, man, there were some good times.
What happened to black cod? I mean, say
you know what? That 1 year we caught them, and then we had several times where we caught them, and that was fun and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we never caught them again. I don't. When
It
did
was
it end?
the Russians.
Really? Oh, they put the.
When I got word, they had the giant traps probably as big as this room, and I saw some of the traps.
Gosh.
And it almost as big as this room, and it doesn't take a trap that size long to catch very many fish.
Right.
And they were fishing them at like 100 miles
Off our coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You stopped the main feed.
Yeah.
And then they slapped a 200 feet on them.
Yeah.
After they were, but by that time it was too late. They'd already.
Similar to what happened to the blue perch at Catalina.
Yeah.
All those fish traps.
Yeah.
What did?
And I never believed it.
It was fish traps.
They had fish traps at Catalina.
Who did? Commercial
guys.
fishermen.
Yeah.
Commercial guys.
That's the thing that we all got to address. They got to put a limit. I don't care what you're fishing for. There has to be a limit. Squid, anchovies, sardines. I don't care if you have a 20-mile net or a 20-mile line. There has to be a limit.
Do you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because we watched them wipe out the sardine. We watched them wipe out the anchovies.
Watch them wipe out the rock cod.
Yep. Wipe out the sandbags.
I mean, a gill net on rock cod.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. I saw a gill net one time, 100 yards long by 50 yards wide, full of cow cod, chilies, grouper, on a spot that I had been fishing. Yeah. And you don't know what that did to me.
It's just like a knife in your heart, right?
Yeah.
And he caught me on it.
Yep.
And
same thing on my spot.
Yeah.
And you knew your
it was done. No, we didn't know it was over because he had got caught before me, and then I knew mine was gone.
Yeah.
Just a matter of time.
Are those guys just motoring around trying to figure out where you're fishing? I'm sure they were, right?
But they're pretty smart.
Yeah.
They never caught fish there before. Then they saw what happened, and
that had to kill you to see that, huh?
Because if it's regulated, it can be done. But when it's not regulated, like the squid, they got to start backing down on the squid. You know, they got to set some kind of limit.
Let me say this, because the three of us come from an era where we pretty much you know what I mean. We caught everything we could catch.
But there are different levels,
and so it's interesting.
Minuscule, though.
No, I know, but it's interesting that, and I think it's great that you're coming from this now from a point of enough's enough.
Yeah.
We got to take care of this precious ocean, right?
Well, I saw in Redondo when the purse seiners would come in, you know.
Oh, did you wrap the tuna?
Yeah, and they'd wrap like 200 tons.
Kill you.
And the net could only hold 100. So they roll it.
Yeah.
And the next day you see all these bluefin tuna upside down with white bellies and net berms.
Yeah.
And then a few stragglers surviving, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, God darn.
Yeah, I can remember as a kid going out and seeing these tuna and all this fish and like, oh man, tomorrow morning's going to be so bitchin', and then
Yeah.
Like, it was a foggy night last night. They came in here and wrapped that all up. And I'm like,
Or seeing the
what?
wells with the gill nets on. Remember how we saw those?
Yeah.
Oh, just break your heart.
Really? You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Like what?
A whale with a big old gill net stuck on his back of his tail, and he's sitting up on the break wall.
Dead?
Dead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was alive, I have no doubt you would have jumped in with a knife.
Yeah,
and
I tried.
Cut it out. But yeah, knowing you.
There's guys that do it.
Yeah, I know. Any, like, exceptional catches that you can remember? Swordfish, marlin, anything crazy like that?
I remember one time where me and Mike were fishing the Pasco Bank. And
Where is that?
It's probably 13, 14 miles outside Long Beach Harbor.
Okay.
And I'm looking, and I'd seen it before, but I thought it was a marlin. And I go, Mike, what is that? He goes, oh, that's a swordfish. And then he knew a plane guy, And then the guy calls in the boat. The boat comes in there, and they stick it.
Yeah.
And we watched the whole thing happen. And
Oh, that's cool, huh?
That's totally cool.
What was that guy's name?
Hap Jacobs?
Huh?
Hap
No, the guy that
Jacobs.
threw the plane.
Oh,
He was a spotter for a lot of different stick
I
boats.
can't remember. I remember working with those guys
Yeah.
when I was doing 976
Yeah, those
because I had
planes,
some spotter plane guys that
They
would
can
feed
see
me
so
dope.
many things. It's so amazing, man.
Yeah,
It's
right?
incredible.
Have you ever been up in one?
No.
Yeah.
Not seeing fish.
Yeah.
But, just looking at the patterns, but you can see how it's like, wow.
Yeah.
What are we
Yeah.
missing?
Probably one of the good things that I ever saw was a great white eating a sea lion.
Really?
Yeah.
You enjoyed that, huh?
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
yeah. Well, we were off of Point Furman, and Monte Carlo was out there, and one of his passengers said, "Hey, look at that seal." And he says, "Something's eating it," and it was a great white.
Oh my God.
And I forget who was running the boat that day. I think it was
Monte Carlo?
the owner.
What boat?
Strasser?
No, the Monte Carlo before
Oh,
Woodrum.
wow.
Mark
Oh,
Paisano.
Mark
Paisano.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was running it, and he called me over, and I think it was him. It could have been John too. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And it
Or
showed my
Paul.
passengers. There's just chunks of fur laying all over the place. It had to be an 18-foot long great white,
Yeah.
Oh my
Just-
God.
licking his chops, looking for some more.
That reminds me of another story
Yeah.
on a whale. You always watch documentaries on whales, gray whales and stuff. And when a gray whale mates, it has to have another male hold the female
Right.
position, right?
Right.
So we're on the half-day boat on the city, and we're going out, and I see like spouts and birds and pelicans and seagulls and seals and porpoise, everything. We pull up there, and I tell my passengers, you guys are going to see something you've never seen before, Do you mind if we stop and just watch this?
Yeah.
And this scene had to go on for over 45 minutes. The whales mating, the female being held by the male, and they
Right.
do all this stuff, and
You can actually see there.
yeah, and it was called Pink Floyd.
Right.
Floyd.
6 foot, all dimensional. And like we're all cracking up because I knew all these little things from watching the shows and stuff.
Right.
How'd you know that? I caught on. But everybody on the boat, I think we had like 25 to 30 guys. They're like, we're fine. So we lost an hour, and I'm thinking, now we got to go catch some fish.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
After that show.
And we're right by the 150. We pull out the 150. I drop the anchor, and it was straight, giant whitefish, groupers, reds, everything. We're done in like 2 hours.
Jeez.
And I go, everybody, we lost an hour, but we got limits. Oh yeah, we're fine. Let's go home. We got no problems. And it was just one of those trips. It's like, gosh, and I never saw it again.
Seeing that kind of stuff.
Never
right?
saw it again.
Yeah.
The whales would be there, and you'd actually see like the seals jumping on top of the whale, the porpoises diving over them, birds all going, swirling around
right?
like it was like the craziest thing you'd ever seen in your life. Just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
You see so many great spectacles in nature, don't
Yeah,
you?
you
Oh,
never,
yeah.
you
You're
always
out
go-
there every day. You're spending 12 to 14 hours a day on the water. You see a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah,
and
never
you
see.
don't think you saw what you saw, and you're like, God, did I just see a marlin jump right there?
Yeah.
And like 6 miles off the beach? Yeah, you did. Did I see a giant bluefin just boil? And you're like, oh no, I didn't see that.
Right.
We all forget that, man, you're out on the boat. Take advantage of all those things that are happening. Let the fishing just fall into place. I think that was the hardest thing for me was fishing is extra. Everything in between is what you're out there for.
Yeah.
And you always forget that.
Do you feel that way? I do too. I do.
But my problem is when I was running boats, man, if I didn't catch fish that
Well,
day,
that's different.
it was brutal.
Yeah,
It's brutal to the
Yeah.
guy.
Talk about that pressure, Mike. When you're running a boat, how much pressure are you feeling to produce?
A lot,
Yeah?
because that's the reason they came out.
Yeah.
It's to catch fish. So you got to take them somewhere where they can catch them.
Right.
Yeah.
And would you like, say you're trying to catch yellows, or you're trying to catch sea bass, or you're trying to catch calico bass, and that's not working, would you say, shit, we got to go outside and catch some bottom fish and get some fish in this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to know your people
Yeah.
you're with and what they want, and it's a drawn out thing.
Like I'd be fishing yellowtail. It was hard on a half day boat.
Yeah.
You're committed to yellowtail, you got to fish yellowtail.
You do, yeah.
You committed to rockfish, you got to fish rockfish. Well, we got to a point where we were like in between. Sometimes we go fish half hour, 45 minutes rockfish, and then come back inside and fish yellowtail if you're getting an afternoon bite on the afternoon half day boat.
Yeah.
Or vice versa on a 3/4 day boat. Fish a yellowtail and stuff in the morning, and in the afternoon go out and top it off with some rockfish.
And you got to trust your instincts of what you're going to do, and you
Yeah.
got to stick to it. You can't keep changing things.
Yeah, and you don't leave fish to find fish, do you? Is that true or not true?
Very true.
Yeah.
But you got to find the point on when it's over. That's the hardest thing, is when is it over?
Yeah.
Is it over?
Yeah.
And then even though you think you're done and you're still catching wide open, you're like, oh man, we were like 2 fish short. We would have been there.
Yeah.
But just give it a half hour more, right? And then you try to go back, and it's over with.
Yeah.
It's done.
What makes it get over? Is it the tide, or is it who? Is it
God, I
you
wish
don't
I knew.
know what
That's
it
a
is?
$1
or-
question.
Yeah, I know, right?
But you can tell when it's over. You can tell.
Yeah.
Some guys can really tell. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure Mike was that way. Alan Watson was really good at that, isn't he? Like he would leave
Yeah.
sometimes before it seemed like it was over.
But a lot of times, it doesn't matter. You made the decision. It's over with. You have to live with that.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing stuff. You got to have an intuition about it.
Yeah. Well, and you got to know. Well, a lot of times you got to look at the meter. You got to look at the sonar.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that you got
Different
to look
type.
for.
Birds.
If you've got stuff on the sonar, or the birds, yeah, there's another thing. All that stuff comes into play.
And the current, especially Catalina, when
Yeah.
it switches, it's like
Current was
Game over.
important at Catalina.
Yeah.
Very important.
More important than local?
Yeah.
Yes.
But for calico bass fishing, current was really important.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have that good strong current, you didn't get a good strong bite. But you had a current, fish would work better.
Did you fish Catalina back many, many, many years ago?
I fished in the 60s.
Well, how was that bite over there in those days?
Good.
Yeah, I guess, huh?
But,
it has some bad days.
Yeah, it had
Sure.
bad days.
Sure.
Barely 60.
Yeah.
Hey, what?
Yeah,
thing I'd like
69. How did you know?
We got to-
Hey, butt out, Tom. Tom Durr is
Hey,
ruining our show here.
One more thing we got to make sure that everybody knows about these hook. It's called rockless. They're fish descenders. It's a good thing to have on your boat. At least we have a chance. You get a small fish that you want to let back in the ocean,
Or a
like-
cow cod.
or cow cod, where you have to release them in it. And we were at Catalina, and there's some cow cods there.
Mike
And
wants to see that.
this hook release scene is you hook it on the fish's mouth with a sinker, and you let it back down about 200 feet, and then you jerk it, and the fish comes off. And it tells you all the instructions. You don't want to let the fish down too deep,
Right.
but you don't want to do it too shallow.
I had one of those, believe it or not, I came up with one of those back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fillet knife.
Yeah.
Just like fillet the, no, I don't like it. Throw it and it sinks back down. No, it's really important,
Now,
right?
but I've seen it, we've had fish one time at the east end of Catalina, about a 15, 18 pound cow.
Yeah.
And we put a 4-pound sinker on there and held on to it and let it down, and it stayed down.
Hey, I don't want to get Mike in any trouble, but there was a time, I guess, that you said a booby, some booby had a big influence on him
Yeah.
or something. What was that all about?
That bird?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, up on the mast?
I thought it
Yeah.
was a different kind of booby. What happened?
Well, we're at the dock, and this bunch of bird croup on the deck. We're like, what the heck is that? And there's a booby up on the mast.
Yeah.
And we went out that day, and I think we fished West Hope or whatever it was, but it was like wide open. We're done in 2 hours. And we're like,
So that booby brought you luck?
and that bird stayed with us the whole time until the end of the day. Then he finally flew its way, and we're like, man, I thought that was a curse. I guess it was a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Durr's gotten in trouble with some boobies before
Oh,
in
yeah.
the past. Yeah,
Me too.
He's got to watch it. Yeah. Any other exceptional catches that you can think of? Like just looking
Oh, that
looking
big
back.
rock that time.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're on the GW, and I think we have 40 people on the boat.
Yeah.
And we're anchored out in 800 feet of water.
Yeah.
What they call Pasco Bank.
800 feet of
800
water.
feet, 800 feet of water.
Anchored?
Yeah.
Yes. And
Wow.
we're catching these scenes called Floridas. They call them
Yeah.
bank rockfish or whatever they are.
Bitchin'.
But it's every hook you have on there. It's full rock wide open. You know?
So your fishing was what? 5 pounds of lead?
3 pounds.
3? Yeah.
Most guys can't handle a 5 pounder.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too much. But
I'm
3
thinking of
pounders-
that like if you're
The
fishing
5
30
pounders
hours.
went with the tin hooks.
Yeah.
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 But we're fishing the spot, you know, and we're done. Mike's like, okay, let's pull the anchor, get out of here, you know. And I'm pulling the anchor, and it's like, damn, it ain't coming in. Oh God, we got.
You hung the anchor
We
at
got
800 feet?
We got fuel. Something's wrong. The hydraulic, and I'm looking down there. You can see the hydraulic lines just in the hatch. You know, you look down
This is
there.
old North Hill anchors.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
He had the big flukes on them like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
150 pounders,
Jeez.
125, whatever they were.
You had those winches though that
Oh yeah, we had
ass
a,
in those
had a
days.
big old
With
cab.
power
to pull
winches.
that.
Yeah, big.
So we're pulling this anchor, and I go, okay, guys, I need some help up here. You know, so we got 20 guys all pulling, you know, from the bow to the stern. All of a sudden it's 10. All of a sudden it's 5. All of a sudden it's me and myself and I, you know, and I'm pulling my feet on there. We finally get this scene up, and it's a giant donut rock.
Oh my God.
And when I looked at the
Flukes
rock,
through it?
yeah,
Yeah.
where it went, the fluke went right through it and kind of held it like that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at there, and I go, man, that looks just like that big giant donut on 7th Street, you know?
Yeah.
And so we get the scene up, and I'm like, Mike, what do we do? And he said, yeah, just tie a rope in there, and I'll let the anchor down, and then we can just get our anchor back, and then we'll deal with that when we get there, you
Yeah.
know? So we tie a rope in there, and I wrap it on the cleat in the bow, and we push the anchor down, and the rock's sitting there, you know? He goes, well, we ain't dragging that thing home, so we better get out of here. So I go up to the bow, and I get my Forstner, and this is big line, you know, we're talking 2-inch nylon line, you know. I take my knife and I just tap it like that, and it falls off.
Oh my God! Thank God!
Then, you know, it's almost kind of dark, right? We usually always got in early.
Yeah.
And all the way home, it took us 3 hours to get home. 'Cause,
Yeah.
You know, we're only an hour and a half away, but I could clean fish. Full limits of fish for 40 people.
Oh my
and my arms, I couldn't even move them from pulling this anchor, you know, for all this time. So we did it. We got done.
Was there 2 deckhands on most of these trips, or
I
one?
don't think we had a deckhand, that second deckhand that trip.
No.
There was
It
you
was in
and
the
you
winter.
2 guys.
It was a Frank Hale move. He just pay one deckhand.
Yeah, you're trying to save money.
We had a pinhead that could clean fish, or a deadhead that
Yeah.
could clean fish.
And then, so you weren't one of these guys with your feet up on the dash, up in the wheel. You were down on deck working.
yeah,
with
sometimes I put somebody on the wheel and go down and clean fish myself.
I gotta get
Yeah.
a quick picture of
Yeah.
Mike Reed and I cleaning fish.
Oh yeah, I want to see
Glasses.
that.
When the men were men. See, there's a nice picture of the GW back in the day.
Can we see that, Steve? Oh, okay, good.
And then I got a picture of Reed and me with no teeth, no shirts on.
No teeth.
No, we had teeth. It was a slip. Now look at these 2 studs right here. How'd you like those guys cleaning your fish? But there's me
Yeah.
and Mike. We never wore shirts.
Oh, really?
We were
Yeah.
flying fish back in the days. But just some great times, man.
Let me see it. real quick.
Reed would put hours on the board and just not complain about
Oh,
it.
jeez. Hey, Philip's gonna scan these photos so we
Yeah.
can lay them over the make more work for Steve in the editing process.
But this one right here, I want to see how many guys you can name in this.
Yeah, there you
Could
go.
you name any of them?
I don't know. I can't even see them. What are you talking about? I'm 90 years old too. Let's see.
Yeah.
You know, because I was over in the Bay
Yeah.
most of the time,
Yeah.
and then I went to San Diego. So let's see.
But it's funny, all the pictures of these
Is
gentlemen.
that Dick Helgren?
No.
No. Okay.
This one, you know.
I'm 0 for 1. Watson?
No, Bob Lesher.
Oh, there you go.
Bill
yeah.
Lesher.
Yeah. Is that Dave? No.
No.
No, I'm 0 for. I can't get
Okay.
any of them.
But a lot of these
No,
captains.
that guy there, I don't. That's John Warbeef. He ran.
Okay, yeah.
What?
He was at Redondo, right?
No.
No, before Redondo.
Boy, I'm
Yeah, he was
freaking
at
out on
Pierpoint.
everything.
He ran the Hurricane
Oh, okay.
down here out of Pierpoint.
And that was
before
back
he moved up north.
in the 60s, like, or?
Yeah. What was the name of that boat he had?
Spitfire?
No.
Man, you're going back,
Anyway.
You're going back 20 years
Yeah.
before me.
He was up north, up Santa Barbara. And
Do we want to turn that picture toward the camera?
Yeah.
or-
No, we can scan it.
that's,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's Bill Escher.
Yeah.
That's me. That's Jim Peterson. That's Herb Curley.
Oh,
Jim
wow.
Peterson.
That's Bill Verna.
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the bait guy.
Yeah. Listen to all these names.
That's Bob Stapp. He's a boat builder.
Wow.
And that's Jim Goldsworthy. He used to run a half-day boat out of Pacific Landing.
Oh, we got to get to the mic, Mike.
Huh? Oh.
The light, right?
Yeah. Okay. That I don't know what I was leaning way forward. That's
Get the ones you can.
Bob Stapp, Jim Goldsworthy.
I mean, these are all names in our bearing books.
Yeah.
Is it
Bill Knott used to be the.
Oh, Bill Knott. I knew him.
Yeah.
I knew Bill really
The
well.
founder of
SAC.
SAC.
Yeah.
Real good friend of Frank Hale, too.
Yeah.
No, he was a fisherman. Chuck Graham.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that name.
Yeah, and forget his name already.
Go to the next one.
Yeah, and Jerry Cruz, and Joe Miller. About all.
That's a lot of great old names,
Yeah.
there, man. Right? I mean, it's
Spots
unbelievable.
named after some of them.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Well, you have spots, both you guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike had a bunch of them. Yeah.
Couple.
So, do you have a spot out there that nobody's
they call it-
aware of anymore? That we
Well,
that we can go hit
it's
one of
really-
these days?
I got one RVS. That was another rockfish spot.
Yeah, and I have fished that, Mike. It's
Yeah.
biting.
Huh?
It's biting.
Oh, you fished it recently?
Yeah.
RVS, it's called.
Yeah.
What is that?
Virgin,
What's that?
virgin spot.
But
Oh.
about 88 fathom, right in there.
Is that it?
Legal?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
illegal.
How far is it from here? Well, is that going to give it away? No.
No.
That's like 12 miles.
Oh my God! When are we going?
Out in the
man?
middle of nowhere.
Hey, Tom.
I think you've already fished it.
Oh, you took us there? Oh, okay, yeah,
Could be.
it was biting actually.
That's just so nice. So it's about knowing those little secret spots that makes it all worthwhile.
And how do you just by
Just
being out there day after
yeah.
day after day?
Paying your dues, being out there and fishing hard. You know,
Did
that's-
you so you have all these spots in your bearing book? Did you ever say, "I'm going to go find something new today"? I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
go
Oh,
explore when you got limited out early, or what?
No, you're always stumbling onto a new spot as you're
Yeah.
looking at another spot.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I didn't know that was there.
Yeah,
And you know how they get there. I mean,
Yeah.
a rock barge will tip over, a boat will sink, an airplane will sink or crash. It's all kinds of things.
Eddie. When you look at fishing back when you and Mike were working together, and you look at it today, it's different, right? Is it
Very different, yeah.
Oh yeah. Mainly because of the devices that you got to fish with.
Yes, true.
A sonar. We never had sonar.
Right.
We had. I went through a lot of times with no radar,
Yeah.
and you had to use bearings. to
Thank
find
God
something.
when I got my license, we didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Because I worked on a boat before with no radar. I had the barge boat.
Yeah.
And imagine going back to the barge every
Okay.
hour and a half hour.
We're sucked in fog.
Oh, you're
And I was running boats out of Pacific Landing, and we tied up at Pier C, and I had to come from Pier C all the way around to Pacific Landing
Yeah.
in the fog
Oh my God.
with no radar.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And do you feel like having that lack of technology made you better captains, better fishermen?
Possibly.
You think? You know what I mean?
But fishing was better. You could get close.
Yeah.
Now you can't get close. You got to be right on.
You got to
Yeah.
be right on it.
Yeah, there's no more in between.
Why
No
is
more
that?
close.
Because it just gets wiped out.
Just the way it is.
Yeah, it gets hammered.
Is it
It's-
overfishing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By taking away all our spots didn't help either. you
Right.
know?
Right, because you put more
Especially
pressure.
rockfish.
Yeah, you put more pressure on areas that you would let live for a while. you
Yeah.
know, leave alone. And the tackle too has made a huge difference.
Yeah.
We never land fish now. That with the tackle we have now, you can land anything.
I know.
It's incredible. It's spectra and
Fluorocarbon?
fluorocarbon and the 2-speed reels.
Did you ever see bluefin like we're catching now, Mike? These giant 200, 300 pound? No, right?
They were there, but we never could catch them because you never had the equipment to catch them with.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd hook them and you never land them.
Yeah. It's
Call them,
cool.
call them mystery fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of mystery fish.
What, did you have something you wanted to say? Or
No, I was just making sure.
Oh yeah, no, we're good. We're good. So any other bitchin'
God,
story?
we
that
must
you
have
got?
one more story, Mike. Come on.
Okay.
Let me ask you this: how important was Mike's mentoring of you?
Oh, huge! It was just
What
secondary.
did you learn from Mike? What are some of the?
I think that the biggest thing I learned with Mike is pay attention, because like when he couldn't remember a spot, I would hammer him, and he gets so mad at me. He's like, "Ed, I can't remember it." Well, Mike, let's think about this, this, and this, and then you'd throw certain things into the day. Oh yeah, it was when Annie came out, and then she had those special burritos for us. Oh yeah, that was that spot 17 and a half fathoms on the horseshoe, and where we caught those 10-pound whitefish and the 35-pound sheephead.
Yeah.
And then the guy says, "Oh, you never caught 35 pounds." Well, maybe we did, maybe we didn't, but it was sensational fishing.
Any emergencies that you can remember that occurred on the boat that you had to deal with?
Oh.
Heart attacks.
Heart attacks, yeah.
Really? Quite a few?
I think my record was 7.
Yeah, I think I only had
7 heart attacks?
And yeah, 7, and out of the 7, 3 didn't make it, 4 I brought back.
Wow.
And out of the 3, 2 of them went off in a Coast Guard helicopter.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
did you do CPR on them?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty ballsy.
yeah.
Because I wasn't trained in CPR, and I chose not to mess with what I'm not sure of.
Yeah.
Where Mike was trained,
Yeah.
and you know, it takes a certain individual to do certain things.
Yeah.
But
You just got to say you don't care if he's black, white, green, or whatever.
or
you know?
getting sick on you.
Take care of him. He's a
Yeah.
human being.
Right. Right.
And whoever's married to him wants him to live.
Yeah.
you know?
Kids. Everything
Yeah.
else.
And-
Or their kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got to choose what you think is right, and I didn't feel confident in because I wasn't trained.
Yeah.
Now I'm trained in CPR.
Yeah.
And I don't know, honestly, I know I would start the chest movement.
Yeah, check the pressure.
There's no problem with that. It's just
Yeah.
each person has to do, and then you're running the boat. It's a lot of different variables. And I had 4 heart attacks on the boat. 2 of them died, 2 made it. But 2 were dead when they hit the deck.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
They just-
I remember I had one guy in the GW.
I had one to Henry was that way.
Yeah.
He had a yellowtail on, and he just went straight down like this, and then fell over straight backwards. How do you do that with your knees on the deck and your feet
Yeah.
back here?
Did you watch that happen?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But it just happens before your eyes, and you're just like, oh man.
And then I had 2 people on a boat that were trained in one was a nurse and another one's a lifeguard.
Yeah.
They were trained in
CPR?
CPR.
Yeah.
And they worked on it. No, he's gone.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's shocking. Huh?
Yeah.
Mike, did you go get that training because you thought, hey, I'm on the boat here, I need to know this? Is that why you did it, or?
No, I did it because what if it happened to me?
Uh-huh.
I mean, what if somebody went down on my boat?
Yeah.
That's why I took the CPR classes.
Yes. Yeah.
And you were required to have some knowledge of this when you got a license too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just took the courses, and it worked out. I mean, like I said, 4 of them it worked on, and 3 it didn't. But I tried it. You know, you got to try it and see if it works.
Yeah.
And when these people passed away, did you head immediately back in, or did you throw
Oh,
some circle?
yeah,
to see if the
pretty
fish would
much.
still bite you?
No, we honestly called Coast Guard immediately, and then
Yeah.
and then a couple of them were taken off by the helicopter.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Oh, another thing too, if you have a helicopter in your boat, be aware when that little thing comes down.
Uh-huh.
It's made out of aluminum,
Yeah.
and static electricity will jolt you a little bit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
I had one of
so-
those come down on the commercial.
So I think I was
Tanner
with you
did.
on the one time where we had that thing come down,
Yeah.
and then I didn't know about it the first time, so it got me. But the second time, just touch it with a gaff or with a deck brush,
Yeah.
and that'll ground it out, and then bring them down on the boat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I remember too when one guy passed away. It was like what happened to him. I didn't recognize him. It was a weird thing. You know how when you pass, the color of your skin
Yeah.
changes and everything. It's like it's shocking. And that always sticks in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had another guy, Don. He was up against the women's restroom door. He just slid down, and then I heard all the air come out of him.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
really?
was over with. Yeah.
Wow. That's,
I was thinking. I just was thinking of unusual things that happened, and Tom will remember this one. Did I run out of fuel or something break on the engine?
Yeah.
But anyway, he told me back from Catalina in the boat he was running.
Tom Durer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way from Catalina.
Did he charge you?
No, he didn't charge me a cent.
And we've all towed
Nice
each
of
other.
you.
I think we've all towed each other one time or another,
Yep. I remember towing home the Enterprise one
especially
time.
with the single screw boats.
And did you have passengers on board?
Oh yeah,
No. So yeah, it was a long ride home, huh?
yeah.
And no cell phones in those days to call your wife and
No.
say, hey, we're gonna be late.
the
No,
bricks.
no.
The
Yeah,
walkie-talkie
right,
bricks.
right. Well, so when you look back at these careers that you two guys have had, and you think about it, would you have chosen another way of life, or were you happy?
Not me.
Not you.
Why not, Mike? You impressed me as a guy that loved
Well, let's see.
being on the
when
water.
I first started, I was I went in the Army. I got out of the Army.
What year was that you were in the Army?
58.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was 2.
yeah.
I was born that day.
58.
Yeah.
No, that's 59, 60, 60. Yeah. Yeah, 59 to 61.
Where were you stationed?
Fort Ord, Okinawa.
Oh, okay.
And then where are we here?
You're talking about your life in sport fishing and how much you enjoyed it.
And I went to college for a little while and didn't like that, and fell in love and got married, and I thought, well, I can't do fishing for a living. There's not much money in that, so I just went to work, and I was in finance for 7 years and made it all the way up the corporate ladder and all this stuff, and it just wasn't fitting right with me. And so finally I just quit, started getting interested in boats, and during the time I was with this outfit, I got my license. Went to Crawford Nautical, got my license, and about a year after that, I decided I was going to change jobs, and well, I quit first, and then I finally found somebody that hired me to run a boat, and I think the first boat I ran was a little charter boat called a Challenger out of Pier Point Landing. And I started getting a name for myself, things that I learned from guys that I fished with.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another. And
Mike, I am so glad I asked you that question, because it tells me that you made a choice. I mean, you had this successful career, you climbed up the corporate ladder, as you said, and then you said, I'm just miserable doing this. I don't want to do this. And you went and you got into something you truly enjoyed.
That is
doing. Such a good lesson for people, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the evolution I saw of him moving on a boat, getting on another boat, doing this and this. I can't do that. And I would say that to him. Now he's saying it to me. I said, I remember the first day he got on the Enterprise, and him and I almost got in a fist fight. It's like, Mike.
You two guys?
Yeah. It's like, dude, this boat is it's what you want.
Yeah.
It's everything. And then he got on the boat. Some fish never got off it again. It's like, you ain't coming back. You're done. I get a couple weeks when he was taking vacation or something.
Now Andy's doing the same thing.
Yep.
And he's stuck longer than me.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. He's ran that boat longer than I did.
What's really surprising about, we love the GW, we love the city, but the Enterprise is that size of boat that you can easily maneuver. You never had to worry about horsepower.
Yeah.
And there was always plenty of room for people to do stuff right.
Is that 85?
Yeah.
Yeah.
85, 90, depending on where you measure.
Yeah.
Everything's weird, but it was a boat that had plenty of room in the restrooms, It had plenty of room to people to sit down, not a whole bunch of room, but you had places where you could go and just relax. Always.
Yeah, that's important.
And high enough off the water and fast enough and not too slow, all those things. It used to just amaze me how that boat would steer, though. You're just like, how can I get into this little spot,
Is that the best boat by far in your career that you look back?
No, that GW was the best one.
Yeah,
really?
As far as getting bit.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it got bit so good.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And it was not, you didn't have to be good necessarily, because the fish came to the boat.
Yeah, solid plank wood boat, and it was low to the water. It was like the fish never heard anything splash. When you're on the anchor, it would stay in one position. It was always the higher you get.
Yeah, it wasn't all this swinging off the spot and all this stuff. That's what the steel boats did.
Yeah.
And the big boats. But the GW would like just kind of. It would swing a little bit, but it would stay mostly right behind the anchor.
Or someone drop a sinker and you could hear it forever.
Yeah, right.
Ding! The GW. And like I said, I can remember sand bass fishing, looking down the water, going, "Oh my God!" It's like a reef. They come right underneath the keel and stay right there.
Oh my!
That's when we had the crappie jig.
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm letting it down 10
feet. You
feet.
can pick which one you want to bite, like almost.
And you can pull it away from them.
We had guys catching them with pickle chips.
Oh, is that true? Yeah, you hear that story all the time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Take a bear hook, put a pickle chip on it, drop it down, bam.
Or clean them, and every year you'd see chicken bones in their bellies.
Yeah.
The best one I ever had was a little dog leg that came off there.
I had one time with one of these little toy telephones. Off a little toy phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sand bass puked it up. Didn't puke it up. It came up when I cleaned it.
Cleaned his belly.
My God. Will we ever see fishing like that again?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
We're done with that?
I don't. Since we had one big run of these giant squid, and after that, I don't remember any really fantastic days of barracuda or sand bass fishing.
I remember people trying to tie that together and correlate that. You think that's what it was?
I almost,
squid?
I can almost bet you on it.
They're voracious, right?
Yeah.
And I think the anchovies not being
around
changed a lot. And then when they had that big oil spill, that was the one I think did all the damage.
Yeah, especially that did a lot of it. Yeah,
because that destroyed a lot of those clam beds. Whatever's down there that they liked. But then when Iser put in all those little reefs, man, that turned a lot of spots into a lot better than we had seen ever before.
Yeah.
You could fish 50 spots out there.
Yeah.
And each day.
Yeah.
One day all of a sudden it turns on. You're like, what the heck's going on here? We're catching calico bass on the surface iron. At Iser's.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's or one day the yellowtail, they're like, damn, these are 15, 20 pound yellowtail. What are they doing here?
Yeah.
You don't think there's a possibility of a cycle that might come back and we'll see more sand bass, or you think there's been some definite
I don't think
harm
you'll ever
to
see
the
it
fish
the way it was at one
something
time.
bad happened.
Yeah.
Because the barracuda, God.
I know.
I remember one year I was a hot dog. I found the barracuda, and I'm running my meter, and there's all these boomerangs going for like 1.5 miles, 2 miles. I'm like, oh my God.
You're just running through solid barracuda?
Yeah, and I go, I got to stop on one of these. I got to see what they are. And they just come up foaming. Full limits in, like you said, like an hour. And they're like 8 to 10 pounders.
Oh, God.
And you're pulling out the jigs that you never fished with before, the Tatty 14s.
Yeah.
And TNTs, jigs are this big. And they're eating them.
Oh, and color doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you got bit a lot more on the
Blue and
Tatty
white.
C's and
Yeah.
the 45s and stuff. But you throw that big one, oh, there's a nice 10, 12 pounder.
Did you guys ever fish with pep jigs? You
Yeah.
remember that
Yeah.
jig? Earl Pace used to make them?
Pep came from Redondo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was a dart maker.
God, I love
Yeah.
those jigs.
I still got some.
Howard Warbase, did you know him?
Yep.
He fished that pep jig day in and day
Yeah.
out and did really well with
Yeah,
it.
he worked on the special too.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He took us to Los Alamitos racetrack when we were little kids, my brother and I, Paul, and we went to the horse races. And we're sitting there, and a pigeon is up in the raptor and takes a crap on my brother's head. And we're all laughing about it. And you can mention this, Paul, this day. And Howard is laughing, and the next race,
Pigeon.
bird brain. And we bet some other horse. He bet, we're like 14 betting on horses. And frickin' bird brain. Boom! Hit that wire and paid $90 or something. And Howard goes, he was trying to tell you something.
You weren't
should have been
listening.
on that one, man. Too much. Well, anything else that comes to mind? I can't believe we're coming to an end of this, but
We just got some more stories for next time, and we'll. We got some great pictures of the GW.
and these guys, Philip's going to scan some of that. Mike, I can't tell you what a pleasure. I mean, I've had guys saying you have got to get Mike Reed on, and it was great seeing you, my friend.
Good to be here.
Hearing your stories has been fantastic. And Eddie, you and I will be doing some more fishing here as we go along.
You got to show me how to get that. Bring this thing on my.
Yes.
Oh, he'll show you. Yeah. And if Tom Durr wants to walk in here toward the end of this,
I want to back check everything.
come in here and we've been talking to you. Come in here and shake
Label?
hands with Mike Reed while we're still rolling here.
You need to label and back check if you can make it here.
Where is he?
I feel your pain.
Hey, Tom.
He says these
We got to be out of here by midnight. Can
First of all,
you?
his name is East End Reed.
There you go.
East End Reed. Why is it East End Reed?
Because that's where he camped out in the 60s.
Oh, there he is. Come in here and shake hands.
Lean on the fisherman.
So
Come
you
on,
mean
get in here. We want to see you in there.
So you mean Seal Rocks?
Walk in.
Huh?
Seal Rock?
Push him in, Philip.
Yep.
East End Reed.
How'd we know
Can
that?
you see him? Yeah. Oh,
Oh, because I was on the frontier.
Yeah.
you were?
Yeah. 62 on.
Did you guys compete against each other, or were you
No,
friends
really.
always?
No,
I
I
had
had.
25 scoops of bait and he had 100.
Yeah. And when they ran out of bait down there, when I was fishing down there, I'd fill them up.
You would?
Oh yeah.
I'd
would.
stay away from the green fleet because if I got near them, they just obliterated the sun with chovies in the air.
What's the green fleet?
Pacific Green.
Green.
Pacific-
All of
Pacific
McEwen's
Green.
boats in those days were green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
then
the
you had the
seafoam
green fleet, and you had the white fleet, the Freedom, and all the rest of them. And the
Yeah.
America.
God.
And the east end of Catalina would be a straight line of boats all the way to Seal Rock, or all the way to
Southeast Rock.
Toyon, all the way to
Or the East End Rock.
all the way to
Light.
Long Point almost.
Wow.
Everybody wailing on.
And I'd be up there in 6 fathoms of water fishing yellowtail.
Oh, 6 fathoms?
Oh yeah.
36 feet of water.
Yeah.
A few people get rocked in that bite, Mike?
Oh yeah. But you got to know how to fish them.
You couldn't bounce a barracuda with a fiberglass rod.
Oh, wow.
No way, they're all too big.
Mike, when you say you had to know how to fish them, what do you mean by that? Heavy line?
Light line.
Oh.
It's still 20-pound test, 25-pound at most. But if the fish went out to sea, you were fine. But if they went into the rocks, 100 yards away was the seal rocks. And if they go behind there, your line would rub against it, pow, they're gone. Well, I had guys on the boat that knew when that fish got back there, you take it out of gear, they swim out. If they swim the same way they came in, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
If they swim around the rock, you're going to lose them.
Yeah.
But if they swim back out to sea, when they feel the pressure go away, then they're gonna follow it. So then you just start winding the line, and pretty soon you start winding faster, and you catch up with it, and all of a sudden, he's hooked again. Now he's got to fight again.
Oh, right.
And he forgets which way he's going.
Yeah.
You hope he's going out to sea. He does. You get him.
Oh, wow, that's great.
But I had guys that fish with me that knew how to do that.
Well, guys, we've come to the end of this great podcast. It has been spectacular. I'm glad Tom Durr made a cameo appearance.
Yeah,
Cool.
cool.
It's been too long.
Bugging me to come down here. I come down here and just leave me hanging out.
Well, I'm working, man. I'm trying to work
That's
here.
another episode, right, Tom?
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's
I
actually-
threw you in there once.
Alex is the one who wants you to come down. He wanted to know how you're doing. He wants to go fishing.
I was running the Explorer off the pier, and Frank Hale says, "Hey, my boat's broke down out there." I said, "Okay, I'll go get him." I called up. God.
Yeah, he has the same trouble I
Yeah,
did.
whatever, because we're
Yeah.
running out of time. So tell this
Short
story
story.
fast.
Anyway, he came all the way out there to get me and
I
told
said,
me
I'll go-
all the way back
I said,
in.
"I'll go get him," and me and my captain at the time went and got him. He says, "Hell, the boat's never gone this fast." I told him full bore.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. It's been another great Friedman Adventures. Tom Durr, Mike Reed, Eddie Leland. 3 real great guys. I mean, legends in this industry. Remember to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and you can catch us on YouTube, Friedman Adventures, if freshwater is your thing. Of course, you can see my 2 sons over there, Philip and Patrick, at Bass Bros. Thanks, everybody. Eddie, Mike, Tom, great to be with you guys.
All right.